For folks in the Zoom, if you're a proxy, go ahead and raise your hand. All right, sorry, I didn't bring my gavel, but we're calling this meeting to order at 7:06 p.m. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we got here. I don't know if attendance sheet is going around today. Huh? Okay, we'll pass around attendance sheet soon, but first we gotta look at our agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda today? Okay, jump in.
I'd like to send in a more updated version of the resolution I'm proposing. They got all something.
You send it to Slack. Thank you. And then we have to go and make all the resolutions.
Okay. So we'll do that last. Okay. Shani.
Can we add the USAC BOD programming fund? Yeah.
Yes.
That will be under Sarah.
Okay. Okay, Laura.
And then add the gross allocation to the funding part of the agenda.
This is a voting item. It's not consent. It's back. Yeah.
Did you have this? Yeah. Okay. Mine is, can we add under special presentation, see at the table, the work group? Then. Oh, yeah. Sue Donovan?
Sorry, hi, can I please strike Sophia from the agenda? Were you able to hear me?
Barely for me.
Okay, it might be my headphones, but I'll try to speak louder. Can I please strike Sophia from the agenda?
Okay, we got that down. Thank you. Okay. Oh,
Thank you.
Lucy?
Can we please strike capital contingency?
Yep. Yeah, and now Megan.
I'm going to add some stay for academic senate, executive board. I'd like to add to the agenda discussion on adjustment for next week's meeting. And then I would like, I think I have to make a specific motion for each resolution. You can motion them all together, just, yeah, so if someone can move to change all of your resolutions to action items. I move to, make all resolutions on the agenda action items. Okay.
Megan motion, Sarah seconds, all in favor, please raise your hand. You don't vote. All right, please raise your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstain, please raise your hands. All right, with 11 to 0 vote, that is approved. Is there any other amendments to the agenda? Okay, sounds good. All right, can I have a motion to approve our agenda?
I second.
Okay, Sarah motion, Jonathan seconds, all in favor, please. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. With a vote of 11 to 0 to 0, that's approved. Okay, awesome. Whoever was able to, look at the minutes from last time. Wait, is Sydney here?
No,
Oh,
she'll be like.
okay, for sure. So, whoever was able to do that, so if there was any concerns, we were able to email Sydney for that. If not, let's go ahead and have a motion to approve those minutes from our last meeting. I don't have the data on that, so if someone does.
I motion to put it in the October 24th meeting.
I second.
All right, make a motion, Jonathan, seconds, all in favor, raise your hand. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. All right, we'll go to 11 to 0 to 0, that's approved. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so now moving forward on our agenda, we have public comment up next. Public comment is a time where students, undergraduate students, members of the association, can come into our space, give us any comments, concerns that they have. Our community guidelines, child identity is not individual, gender inclusive and respectful language. Freedom of speech is not mean freedom of accountability. Each speaker will give in 2 minutes and the opportunity to speak only once. Remember not to use any dehumanizing language. And with that, we'll go ahead and start off with public comments. Is anybody here for public comments? Go ahead. No, yeah.
Hello. Okay, cool. Hi, it's me, Claire again. I'm here to do weekly Calvert update. I'll be super quick. I don't know if you remember when we were doing our quarterly pledge fundraising drive the past 2 weeks. We're done now. So over the past 2 weeks, we signed up over 1,100 new youth paying members at UCLA. Over the course of the entire state, it's like at 7,000-ish. But all the schools are going at different times, so not everyone's done. Yeah, that's super awesome. We talked to literally thousands of students on campus about the issue of climate change and getting UCLA using 100% renewable energy. So it's so exciting to see so much support for that. And then one other thing is that our quarterly statewide conference is this weekend in Santa Barbara. So all of the UC schools are going to be going there. We're going to do training, discussions, brainstorming stuff together. Just a helpful reminder that all the stuff we're doing here, other people are doing with the other schools as well. Yeah, that's what we've been up to. Looking forward to doing our teaching right there. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anybody else here for public comment? Yes.
Hi everyone, Bradley, Director of the Student Advisory Committee. I'm just here to give a bi-weekly update and hopefully ask if there's a status update on any of the appointments. We're headed into probably the most important time of the year where we actually start reviewing funding requests. So it's really important that we have undergraduate representation. If any undergraduates are here and are interested, it's a compensated position, and you have the chance to double our undergraduate representation. So it's a very important position. We oversee nearly $50 million. This past weekend, UCLA attended the statewide Council of Student Fees. It's a UC-wide event. I wanted to update everyone that one small but very important detail is now in accordance with the CSF standing policies. Every student fee advisory committee is now required to publish an annual report of the funding requests and the funding recommendations. This is a really important step for transparency. Previously, there was no such requirement in place. So I heavily suggest that if you're an undergraduate, you hold us accountable to that. Make sure that you know where your $400 a year are being spent. It's a very low. But yeah, an update on those undergraduate appointments, if available, would be great. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I recently pushed through somebody to interview for the Student Fee Advisory Committee, but the last appointment will have to be made by our TSR. So sounds good. Thank you. All right. Is there anybody on Zoom that is here for public comments? If not, raise your hand. Okay. Looks good. With that, I'm gonna go ahead and close public comment. Oh, sorry, my bad. I'm so sorry. Challenge.
Hello. Nice. Okay, so I'm gonna be reading off my stuff. So hi, good evening to everyone who came out today. I just wanted to take the time to talk about the need to hold UCLA administration accountable for discrimination against Black and Brown student advocates, activists in relation to the genocide that's currently happening in Palestine over the past month. There haven't been a demonstration or a time of mourning for the Palestinian community where they have been not scrutinized or harassed by UCPD or campus security. Meanwhile, Zionists are allowed to run amok on campus and harass students half or even a third of their age without any consequence. Yet, campus players like the Daily Bruin and our chancellor have been treating this issue like it's something that we're allowed to have a difference of opinion on, neglecting the sheer magnitude of the lies lost, persistent IDF bombings, and the very racist response of global powers in the name of preserving settler colonies ideals. Thankfully, tonight, there are a number of resolutions and battles to be fought here, along with in the coming months in support of Black, Indigenous students of color. I urge council and the UCLA student body to please unanimously support the soon-to-be proposed resolutions calling for both a Latinx Resource Center as well as long-term support to the UC Latinx community, to put UCLA's money where its mouth is in wanting the Hispanic Serving Institution designation by 2025, as well as the USAC support for the Racial Justice Now campaign, which seeks to ensure a $1 billion UC-wide endowment to support Black student recruitment and retention. So let's start by making large strides today and in uplifting the Black and Brown student community and show the UC just how strong conviction towards student advocacy and a more equitable tomorrow are. We belong in this system.
Thank you. All right. With that, I'm gonna go ahead and close public comment at 7:17 PM. Now moving forward on our agenda, so we have funding, see, look at that. Oh, so contingency programming, Lucy?
Yeah, sorry. Because we didn't have council meeting last week, I have two sets of allocations to present. So I'll just read them off really quick and I'll also send them in the chat. Sorry. Okay, so last week we had a total contingency programming request of $11,688, and we recommend an allocation of $5,701.50 for 21 non-USAC entities and one USAC entity related events. Happy to answer any questions. And also this week we had a total contingency programming request of $14,556, and we recommend an allocation of $3,577.34 for 25 non-USAC entity related events. And I'll also be pasting that in the chat right now. And again, like all of these are listed on the universal allocation sheet that's linked on the funding section. But yeah, feel free to let me know if there's any questions.
Okay, thanks so much. So this will definitely require two motions. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to give a reminder, we had a couple people a couple weeks ago. If you are receiving funding in this allocation, that would be an appropriate time for you to abstain since you have financial stake in this fund. Just so you.
Thank you.
Wait, I'm so sorry. I didn't catch that. Oh, what did you say?
It doesn't apply to you, Lucy, but basically it was just if a USAC entity apply for this funding, receive said funding, they should abstain in the vote. So yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Okay. So now moving forward, can I have or the green people can motion? Yeah, one at a time.
I move to approve the contingency programming allocation of $5,701.50 for 21 non-USAC entities and one USAC entity.
All right, make a motion, 7 seconds, all fair, please. Please raise your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. All right, please lower your hands. With a 7-0 to 2 vote, that is approved. Okay, so now moving forward with the next motion for contingency. I have a motion for that.
I move to approve the contingency programming request, allocation of $3,577.34 for 25 non-USAC entity related events.
All right, make a motion, Sarah, seconds, all in favor, please raise your hand. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. All right, please lower your hands. All right, with the 8-0 to 2 vote, that passes as well. Okay. Moving forward, so we have SFS allocations. She.
Hello.
Oh.
Hi, okay, so for also 2 weeks of allocations, the first week we had a total requested amount of 1,610 and a recommended allocation of 210 to one CSC affiliated organization.
So any opposition? That's approved.
Okay, and then for this week, we have a total requested amount of 2,082 and a total allocation of 963 to 4 applicants, 2 CSC affiliated and 2 non-CSC affiliated.
Any opposition there? That's approved. Thank you. All right, now let's head over to SWC programming fund allocations. Jess. Oh, yeah.
Hi everyone, I just dropped it in the chat, but this week the SWC Programming Fund received $0 in requests from USAC entities and $692 for 2 non-USAC entities, and we recommend $0 to USAC entities and $392 for 2 non-USAC entities.
Okay, any opposition? That's approved. All right, now moving to brand advocacy grant allocations.
EVP is allocating $4,500 to 3 non-USAC entities. The specifics are on the funding master docs for those specific organizations.
Any opposition? Okay, that's approved. Okay, ASRF allocations.
Yes, sorry, I'll drop it in the chat like Janice, but this week ASRF received $1,800 in requests from 2 non-USAC entities, and we recommend an allocation of $1,800 to 2 non-USAC entities.
All right, any opposition? That's approved. Okay, AAC travel mini grant allocations.
Yes, I can't get it typed fast enough, but this week TGMF received $500 in requests from 1 non-USAC entity, and we recommend an allocation of $500 to 1 non-USAC entity.
All right, any opposition there? That's approved. Thank you. Okay, TGIF, Evan.
The Green Initiative Fund allocated $16,263.89 to 9 non-USAC entities.
Thank you. Okay, BOD allocation, Sarah.
The BOD fund allocated a total of $61,891 to 22 organizations and funded 26 programs.
Second.
Or you know which of USAC, which of non-USAC entities?
I believe there are no USAC entities.
Thank you. Okay, so let's go ahead and vote on that one. Let's see. Have a motion? Well, motion.
I motion to approve the fall 2023 BOD allocation. So allocating 61,891 to 22 non-USAC organizations and 0 USAC people.
Sarah motions, Evan seconds, all fair, please use your. Okay, please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. So a vote of 11 to 0 to 0, that approves. Thank you. Okay, Groves allocation. That's Lauren.
EVP is allocating $1,980 to 3 non-USAC entities. The specific organizations are on the funding master document.
Any opposition? That's approved. Thank you. Okay, so now let's move forward. We have big special presentations, starting with ASUCLA Board of Directors update.
We just get them slide.
Okay, we'll just like move this way. We're carrying our laptops because we have a few updates. We're trying to keep it as brief as possible while also keeping you guys as informed as possible. So bear with us as we're reading off of our laptops. But hi, everybody. I'm Allie. I'm the current chair for the board of directors. If you want to introduce.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Elia. I am the finance committee chair and an undergraduate board member.
Sweet. Okay. I'll get started with CalFresh. We're working on expanding CalFresh to other markets and stores on campus, in addition to the one that we're currently operating in Ackerman. CalFresh, which is known federally as the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, provides monthly food benefits to individuals and families with low income and provides economic benefits to the community. CalFresh is the largest food program in California and provides an essential hunger safety net. CalFresh is federally mandated and in California is state supervised and county operated. Each location has to be independently approved by the USDA, which is the federal agency responsible for authorizing CalFresh. The store on South Campus and Health Sciences has been approved and is in the final stages of going live within the next 2 weeks. The next location, which an application has been submitted for, is Lubell Commons. So this is bringing that benefit to the north side of campus. ASUCLA is also supporting the work of various on-campus entities to inform and assist students in enrolling in CalFresh. This work includes utilizing our social media channels, tabling at events, and working with the UCLA financial aid. Related, but separate from the aforementioned, is ASUCLA's effort to bring in navigators to help students learn of the many benefits that may be available to them through the county. Navigators are nonprofits under contract with the county that help individuals find and apply for specific services for which they may qualify for. The vision is to have the specific office hours for these navigators so that students can go and ask their questions and learn how to navigate the county system of benefits, including those that are for shelter and food insecure students.
Perfect. Thank you, Allie. It's great to be here. So our next item is student programming. ASUCLA has increased its efforts to bring different programming for students, including movie nights, nude concerts, Wellness Wednesday, de-stressing events, and more through collaboration with various student groups and commissions. This work has included parties, Halloween events, the opening and inclusion of Ruined Fun Zone. And the events team is constantly looking for ideas and opportunities for partnership to expand and enhance the events. And we all look to you to, join us in doing that.
Sweet. Moving on to facilities improvements. ASUCLA has been working on various projects to enhance and improve the buildings it operates. The projects are specifically on infrastructure, so that includes the replacement of the North Campus roof, the repair and upgrades of the Ackerman freight elevators and passenger elevators, the upgrade of various restrooms, enhancements to employee work areas, etc. This also includes the development of exterior meditation spaces, the transformation of the Sweet Spot to Samazon, the redo of Taco Bell are just a few of the projects that are customer facing that we've completed.
And if you haven't had a chance to try Samazon, I highly recommend. We were excited to bring them in also because they are very social impact focused company and partnership. And that sort of segues into my next point about sustainability. as part of the broad effort to boost ASCCLA's diversion of waste from landfills from its current 50% level to the zero waste target of 90%. The focus has been on working collaboratively to improve diversion at the Court of Sciences Student Center. During September, steps were taken to help drive compliance with organic waste recovery regulations and policy goals by helping customers and staff sort materials correctly. Steps included improving access to bins, ensuring that pizza boxes correctly fit only in the bins designed for compost, and ensuring that all three streams of materials, recycling, compost, and landfill, are clearly marked and placed conveniently and consistently to improve recovery of all materials that can be diverted from the landfill. In addition, a great emphasis has been placed on supporting the hosting of green events in ASCCLA venues. We also have work on energy efficiency initiatives such as variable frequency drives and fans for our HVAC systems, energy efficient lighting, and low flow water usage are continuing.
Moving on to communication enhancements, committing to developing and utilizing channels to enhance and improve interorganizational communication. Various initiatives have been launched. These include the entities meeting to bring all of the entities of ASUCLA, so that's USAC, GSA, Student Media and Services, together to learn and support common initiatives, further clarify roles and responsibilities, and align on efforts. Meet and greet sessions of the entities to provide a free-flowing opportunity for entities to get to know each other. 4 pillars, the quarterly newsletter of ASUCLA that provides news and information on the 4 entities. The open office with the student union director, Pamela. If you haven't met Pamela, she's our new student union services director, and she'll be taking over the role as Rory transitions out. She's fantastic, and I highly encourage that you chat with her if you haven't. We also have other one-on-one and group meetings, such as sharing updates with the GSA and USAC at council, and more meetings such as this one.
Perfect. And our last update is working with housing and dining, and we have some exciting updates here. In support of the students asked and through collaboration with UCLA Housing and Dining, ASUCLA not only accepts swipes, but has been able to transition to electronic versions of the swipes that facilitate their usage at various locations. Housing and dining set the swipe equivalent value at $9, but due to significant inflationary matters, we have requested that the value be increased by at least $1 to $10. This is being considered by housing and would not change the cost burden on students. Additionally, and I think y'all will be excited to hear this, housing has shared that an off-campus housing meal swipe program and package will be offered by the end of the quarter, and those swipes can also be used at ASUCLA restaurants. Thank you all so much.
Okay, time for questions. Any questions from council members? Oh, Megan.
You mentioned like off-campus housing meal program. Do you know what that would look like yet? I know Gloria was meeting with USAC Housing last 2 weeks ago.
I don't know what that's gonna look like, but I can follow up with Gloria and get you guys that information for sure.
Okay, and then also I know he also mentioned requesting the worth of like a swipe to increase already in our entities meeting. Do you know the update of that, or is this the most updated?
Yeah, so this is, as I mentioned, that's being considered currently. And yeah, we also just recently found out about the off-campus plan, but we don't know the details yet, but we do know that it will be offered and applied to ASUCLA restaurants.
Okay, and then, sorry, last question. When will you be reaching out related to like any like potential referendum?
Very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Alicia?
Well, I had a question. I was at the BOD meeting last, 2 weeks ago, at public comment, and I was wondering if there's gonna be any statement discussed, in regards to the violence that, multiple groups of students are facing on campus with the identified.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up because I definitely wanted to like touch base with you specifically on that. After like talking to like legal, the statement's not necessarily something that's within ASUCLA's like board of directors purview, but we did have a discussion on like what we can provide services wise, what we can do physically for students. We obviously like really care about the well-being of our students, and that's incredibly important. And we want to make sure that we're providing them that support. It might not be necessarily in the form of a statement, but we are looking at different avenues to provide that support as well.
And to follow up with that, your HR director, I don't remember that position, but she mentioned that like docking websites like Canary Nation is not something that they look at when hiring students. So will there be any way that students know that information? Is that accessible?
Yeah, no, I'll definitely follow up with Michelle on that, because I know that's something that we all agreed on. So I'll follow up with that with you, on what she says on that, but definitely.
Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, was there, Sarah, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Amazing. Okay, so now we will hear. Actually, wait, sorry. For the 2023-2024 legislative session mid-cycle update.
It's gonna be from Maya. She's
Okay.
on Zoom.
Cool. And then. Okay, and Maya, whenever you're ready.
Hi, I can't hear anything. For some reason, I don't know if that's the Zoom or not. But am I good to present? Can I
You
get a
are.
thumbs up if you guys can hear me? Awesome. Okay, so sorry about that. It is a slideshow. So, I don't know if you're able to present it or I can just read it out.
I think
But
we made you a co-host, so you should be able to share screen.
okay, let me try doing that right now. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Here. Let's see. Oh my gosh, Zoom. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Here, let's. Awesome. Okay, so these are basically the bill analyses that my team worked on within the past legislative cycle. And these are just three of a lot that we did, just because there's so many that we weren't able to present all of them today. But here are some that we thought were pretty important because two of them have to do with housing, and then the other one has to do with the MESA program, which I will get into. So the first one is Senate Bill 444, which is in regard to the MESA programs. And essentially, it encourages community colleges to create and oversee math, engineering, science achievement programs within their colleges, and it helps students impacted by disadvantages in the social, economic, and educational backgrounds to increase the student population that is able to transfer and complete bachelor degrees in STEM at four-year institutions. This is really important, especially because STEM has historically not been super inclusive towards people in disadvantages in these areas. Again, student impact, it's has a lot of job opportunities that can go unfilled while their students struggling on their journey to the field. And this program would help students obtain positions, which would ultimately boost California's economic productivity and innovation. So it's good all around. And this is something that we truly believe is really important to students in UCLA and UC-wide in general, not just us. Okay, so our next one was the Senate bill for, there's one missing here, but housing development. And it's supported by cities like all over California, Los Angeles, SF, Berkeley, etc. So this bill will basically make it legal for faith-based institutions and nonprofit higher education institutions to build affordable housing on lands they own by streamlining the permitting process and overriding local zoning restrictions, and guarantees by right approval of these new homes as long as they're consistent with all like building standards, environmental protections, and it also requires that 100% of these units are affordable to lower income households, which is huge. Student impact, members of African American, Latinx, Indigenous communities are most prone to facing housing insecurity challenges. And as we all know, Westwood is super expensive, and having affordable housing in Westwood would alleviate financial burdens, improve access to resources, foster community engagement, which is super important for students because financial struggles play a key role in how people perform in school, which, kind of dictates rest of your career within your university. So this is a really big one, especially for people within those marginalized communities. And then the last one that I have for you guys today is Senate Bill 555, which is the Stable Affordable Housing Act. And then this was supported by California Green New Deal Coalition, Environmental Justice Alliance, Tenants Together, Natural Resource Defense Council, and the California State Senate. So this bill would basically identify pathways towards developing 1.4 million stable affordable homes through requiring the department to complete a California social housing study, which is basically an analysis of the opportunities, resources, obstacles, and recommendations for the creation of housing that is affordable and social housing as defined to assist in meeting the need of that is identified in the statewide projections. So essentially would just require the study to include like an analysis of the funding, public lands, resources, opportunities that are available for people in marginalized communities. And all of that is related to housing supply and coincides with like the goals of the state with like environmental justice, like the Green New Deal, like all of that stuff. And then the reason why this is important towards students specifically is because those facing housing affordability challenges, this bill addresses issues, housing insecurity, financial stress, educational outcomes, and all are important to students, undergraduate and graduate. So we just added at the very end, students and student organizations may find it valuable to engage with and advocate for the successful implementation of this legislation to improve the housing situation for themselves and their peers. And obviously this isn't something that we would probably see within our time as students, but it's critical, especially with the housing market and financial insecurity that is so prevalent right now for students that want to go to big schools like UCLA and Berkeley, where housing is incredibly expensive, unaffordable, and unattainable for many. So yeah, those are the 3 bills that we have for you guys today. We'll probably do another presentation sometime in the future to keep you guys updated. But yeah, is there any questions, comments, concerns?
Thank you so much. Okay, any questions for folks? Definitely were very thorough on the presentations. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, with that, we have our Save the Table initiative, the Broom Group up next. The microphone up there you can use. Basically, it's just a time to tell us about your organization. It could open up potential partnerships with USAC. And then, yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Hi, I'm April. I'm a second year at UCLA and I'm the director of finance at the Broom Group.
Hi, I'm Gavin. I'm also a second year. I'm the director of alumni relations at the Broom Group.
Yeah, so basically what we are is we're one of the premier consultancies at UCLA that specializes with like specifically startups. We do projects with like ranging from a bunch of different markets, not just like any specific industries. We have around 40 to 50 members, so we have like a good amount of people, and like there are people all over. Like there's a lot of like there's no just like business majors or something. We're very diverse in terms of like who is allowed to join and who kind of takes a part of like the club. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can kind of touch on more exactly what we do in terms of the professional side. So we are a consultancy focused on startups. So we're looking at a lot of different startups that have initiatives specifically in the LA area or even at UCLA. So obviously that looks at multiple different industries. So we've worked with sports marketing, we've done food and beverage, housing, which April will touch on a little later. So in terms of industries, we're agnostic there. Also in terms of the different projects that we do, so that also varies quite heavily. We do market entry, financial forecasting, any basically type of research that we can provide to these startups. But yeah, and then yeah, we're kind of working with project teams around four to six, pretty small. We like to keep our members engaged in the process of kind of learning how to handle the ropes of a consulting project, I would say.
Yeah, so like kind of what we do for the community, like inside the club, we're able to provide a lot of networking events, a lot of like professional development for our members in our club. What this looks like, not just like going to consulting fields, but also like resume workshops, cover letter workshops, stuff like that. We're able to provide for a lot of our members. And also in terms of like the Hill, we also give back to UCLA. For example, last year we hosted a consulting mixer where we had around like, I think we had like 10 plus companies of like the top consulting firms, like big names like McKinsey, Bain, all of those coming to our mixer. And we opened this up to the Hill and we were able to kind of get 200 plus like students come to our mixer event and come to our networking events and actually be able to talk to a lot of these professionals and get like firsthand like experience just like talking with them. So we do a lot of like events for not just our members, but also for all of UCLA. And like one example, like Gavin was talking about, was this housing startup called Ohana. So basically what they do is they're trying to increase accessibility in terms of subleasing for specifically college students. They're basically this new website, kind of like similar to Airbnb, where they kind of do subleasing instead, where they're trying to increase accessibility, not just in California, but I think they're launching initiatives in like Chicago and like New York and a bunch of other cities as well. So just like that's kind of an inside look into what kind of like startups we work with. They're not just like anything like here and there. They definitely give back to the community. We're very focused on that community impact as well. Yeah, and then I guess in terms of funding, I can kind of talk about USAC funding, what we need / have gotten from you guys. We mostly get funding from you guys for any of these mixers, any of these networking events, whether they're for our club members or for the Hill, like just kind of a space like food, beverage, things to keep people happy and come to our events. Other things also like advertisements, being able to have flyers out for people and being able to kind of advertise our events is also something. And then aside from that, just a lot of fun activities like team bonding. I think we had like a painting at Jan Steps last year. So it was just very fun activities, retreats and stuff to keep our members engaged, to like also have a social side to our club, not just like the professional side. So that's mostly what we come to USAC for. Thank you. Is there anything you want to add?
I would say one more thing to touch on kind of our projects, I would say. A lot of these, what startups come to us for is specifically insight into UCLA because we are students here. So they like hearing about exactly kind of how our community operates. And we provide specific insights to how we can kind of promote and how they can enter into the UCLA market. And often we'll kind of see future impacts down the line, specifically them coming to campus. But yeah, other than that, I think April has touched on it. So if you guys have any questions, we'd love to answer them.
Yeah. Any questions from Councilman Jonathan?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you both so much for coming. I kind of wanted to ask, so a problem that has arisen for many pre-professional organizations, in particular consulting groups, there's been a lack of diversity in terms of both ethnic, especially Black, Indigenous people of color, and transfer student makeup. I just wanted to ask, what have you all done so far to help bring in a variety of Bruins from different groups into your organization and kind of give them these networks and these connections, this ability to become professionals?
Yeah, I can take this one. So recently we're really focusing on making sure our screening process and our application process is as equitable as possible. So that means making our resume, our first round is resume screenings, making that completely blind. So all names removed, all those sorts of things. I think obviously this kind of directly helps us because if there's no name, it's a little easier to kind of take away the implicit biases we might have towards certain names or certain like those sorts of things, especially also if, like, we're trying to rid of you being able to just kind of get your friend in. So completely removing names is kind of what we've been doing in our like screening process. And we will continue to do that moving forward. I think we definitely saw some improvements from specifically this past fall quarter in terms of recruitment. And also working to make sure that the opportunities we give students and also the projects that we kind of work on being more diverse in the sense of how much my NDA covers. But we are currently working in projects that are specifically DEI focused. We have a project, the one I'm working on this quarter is specifically focused in that area. So yeah, trying to both broaden our scope in terms of the projects that we work on, but also making sure our recruitment from the ground up is focused.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Do you guys have any social media, or would you like to advertise any like upcoming events you guys have?
Yeah, we do have social media. We're, I think, the Brewing Group on Instagram, and we have a website. In terms of events, I believe we're trying to work on having like a open case competition for all of UCLA, or like anyone who wants to join. We're working on that. Either this will be like I think it'll probably be like next quarter, or maybe like end of like this quarter, we'll have signups for that. Aside from that, I think we're trying to have the consulting mixer again. But that's more like spring quarter as well. So we'll keep you guys updated if you guys want to hear about our events. And we also post this on our Instagram and our websites, and we have like a newsletter as well. So yeah, that's kind of exactly it. And then we have and then we have winter recruitment. So and that's obviously going to be winter quarter, and people are welcome to everyone, all like majors every year, like is welcome to like try it.
Yeah, feel free to like DM us if you ever want something like reposted or help with your recruitment. I'm always happy to help. And also I just want to say I really appreciate y'all coming out, especially tying in how you use USAC funding. That's definitely, we love to support groups, and yeah, you guys do amazing work, and I can't wait to see what y'all do for the rest of the year. But thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, for the rest of the meeting, our chair is going to be Megan, so please be nice, and y'all have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're now going to be moving on to appointments. Reminder for appointments for your interview, you will begin with a 1-minute introduction statement, a panel for any questions with the rest of the council members, and then a 1-minute concluding statement. Council will then go into deliberations and then go into vote. So first off, for Academic Senate Executive Board, we have Wilson Hussein, who is on Zoom. Can you hear us okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. And then whenever you're ready, you can begin with your 1-minute introduction statement.
Hi everyone, my name is Kulsum. I'm a third-year political science major and a minor in public affairs. I transferred from Irvine Valley College, and I took interdisciplinary classes in administration of justice, so I'm an aspiring lawyer. And outside of my academics, I worked as a communications manager for Penwarjet, and so I was conversing with various stakeholders and collaborating with in-house attorney to push for environmental considerations and advocacy in that aspect. And outside of that, I was involved with UNICEF, She's the First, and Empower Women Club. I'm applying for the Academic Senate Executive Board position because I want to contribute to UCLA's academic success, but also advocate for issues and advocate for issues such as transfer shock through eradication of implicit bias, transparency, and accountability. And so I believe that I'm an ideal candidate for this position because I'm passionate about advocacy, as I mentioned, and I believe that I have the experience to analyze complex issues and make well-informed decisions. I believe that a part of the role of Academic Senate Executive Board entails, conversing with various stakeholders such as the faculty, and then you have to take into account student government and student body.
And yes, I want to continue the university's missions of academic senate, university's mission of academic success through taking into account even the transfer body that makes up a majority of the student body.
Thank you so much for your introduction statement. Now moving on to questions. Do any council members have any questions? Sedona?
Yes, hello. My question is that, as a student senator, you don't have voting power on your committee. And so I'd love to know how you plan on leveraging your power to enact change within the committee's activity.
I'm sorry, I didn't really hear the last part. Could you please repeat
Yes,
that?
no, I can definitely repeat it. And if you still can't hear me, I can type it in the chat. I'm so sorry. But my question was, I'll just repeat the whole thing, that as a student senator, you don't have voting power on your committee. So my question is how you plan on kind of leveraging your influence and like enacting change within the committee's activities.
I believe that through transparency and accountability, for instance, whatever the committees are proposing, like their academic policies, just ensuring that they're not just disproportionately, helping one group and not the other. For instance, like maybe they should be taking into account non-traditional students, transfer students, and they're just not focused or centered around, students who graduate from high school and then continue to UCLA, if that answers your question. Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from any other council members? Okay, then we can go into deliberations. I can start off. Thank you so much for coming to the council meeting. I know there are complications in the past with appointments. Oh, do we do art first? Oh, yeah. Sorry, we'll now be moving on to your concluding statement. You have 1 minute, so feel free to start whenever you're ready.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on my background a little bit. So I actually moved from Dubai when I was 13 years old to Canada. So in Dubai, I was part of the British curriculum, and then Canadian, and then US, Californian curriculum, or US. Yeah, so through those experiences, I really realized how, education is really a privilege. At first in Dubai, it was because my mom was a single mother, so it was mostly about getting A's so I could help support her, with scholarships. But as I progressed, my educational journey, I realized, just being surrounded by such driven scholars and activists, it's really it's so powerful. And I feel like I would want students to experience that as well. And so through this academic senate position of executive board, I want to help empower students through the educational journeys, and any problems that they might have, I want to advocate for those and find solutions for those through transparency, accountability, as I mentioned.
Okay, thank you so much. Now we will hear from Art. Art voted 3-0 on Colson Hussein, and our statement reads, Colson has demonstrated a great deal of patience and knowledge about student well-being and feedback towards UCLA administration. She has a lot of new innovative ideas for the Academic Senate, and with this said, Art would like to recommend Colson to the Academic Senate Executive Board with a 3-0 vote. Now we move on to deliberations. I will begin again. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your patience with all the appointments. I really enjoyed interviewing you. And I would like to encourage all the council members to vote yes. Any comments for this appointment? Okay, we'll now be moving on to a vote. Can I get a motion?
I motion to for Colson Hussein to be put in the Academic Senate and the Executive Board.
Second.
How long?
For a 1-year term?
Yes.
Second.
Jonathan motion, Chang seconds, all in favor? Do I vote? Hands down, all, opposed? All abstain? Okay, with an 11 to 0 vote, Folsom, you have just been appointed to the Academic Senate Executive Board. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now be moving on to our second appointment of the night, for Finance Committee Associate Dari. Whenever you're ready, you can begin with your 1 minute introduction statement.
Hello, thank you guys for having me. My name is Varinch. I'm a junior at UCLA, currently studying business economics. And a little bit of my background in finance is that I've experienced working at different aspects. I've worked at an investment bank. I've also worked at a hedge fund where I did a lot of equity investments and looked at budget reports for companies and analyzing that. And then most recently, I worked at a private equity firm looking at real estate private equity. And I think through those experiences in finance, I've gotten an ability for financial reporting, budget reporting, accounting, etc. And I think that I could leverage my experience in those areas, in my expertise on the finance committee, in appropriating funds for different clubs on campus. And I'd like to mention that some of my most important experiences on campus have been through clubs, and that I'd like to have the opportunity to be able to give back and ensure that the experiences that I enjoyed on campus are still available for those after me and after I leave college as well. And that's a bit of why I'd like to join the finance committee and why I think I can make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your introduction statement. We will now be moving on to questions with the council members. Council members, please raise your hand if you have a question. Evan?
Yeah, thank you so much for coming out tonight. As we all know, FICOM oversees thousands of dollars in student fees. How will you ensure that this money is allocated equitably in a way that best represents student needs?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think that one of the things that I think could be done most effectively is doing it on an as-need basis and ensuring a fair and equitable grading process, I think, is the cornerstone of that. And also, I think giving weightage to the quality of funds that are given, and making sure that the process itself is transparent and that every club has an equal ability and equal opportunity to get funding if they deserve it. And so I think that is a very important step that can be taken to achieve equitable funding for on-campus clubs.
Sarah?
Hi, Varinch. Thank you so much for coming to our panel meeting. My question is, I think when you're allocating, and I've experienced sometimes FICOM gets pushback based on the allocations they make. How do you plan on communicating like your decisions to students and like addressing that?
Yeah, I think it's always a tricky thing managing managing the funds that are on hand, and also being able to make sure that funds or clubs are able to get the funding that they require to do whatever activity or organizational activity that they have planned. But I think the key to that would probably be transparency and making sure the policies are open and understood to clubs, and so that they feel that it's a fair process and that the rules are understood going in, and also understanding that the responsibilities on both ends, and that the reason for why funding was allocated or why funding isn't allocated. So I think that communication and transparency would be really key to making sure that any clubs don't feel unfair coming out at the end of that process.
Are there any other questions from council members? Okay, then you can head into your 1 minute concluding statement.
Yeah, so I just want to say thanks again for having me at this meeting. Um, I've been fortunate enough to be part of the finance committee the previous year, and I've enjoyed the process, enjoyed what I was able to do to make a difference on campus and help clubs and contribute to some of the activities that I've enjoyed and have helped shape my college experience, and would greatly appreciate the opportunity to be able to give back to some of the UCLA clubs and organizations that I feel have been very positive in making a difference.
Thank you so much for your concluding statement. We'll now be moving on to deliberations. Would any council members like to start? Okay.
I worked with Veranch was on Vicom last year, and then also we did the beginning of BOD this year, and he was very supportive, very helpful. He's always in the office, very much a slay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot to do ARC. So sorry. ARC voted 3-0 on Barench Pandari. And Sarah will be reading our statement.
With a 3-0 vote, ARC recommends Veranch for the Finance Committee Associate position. He has worked in the FICOM office for 2 years, and has been an excellent addition. In addition, he also brought forward great ideas in his interview and shared a lot of passion for supporting students through funding. So, ARC is voting yes.
Thank you. Any other deliberations? Let's see. Thank you. I know like continuity is really important in FICOM, especially since it's such a tedious job. So thank you so much for continuing to be on FICOM. It seems like you're always in the office, so thank you for your work. If there are no other deliberations, we will now be moving on to a vote. Can I get a motion?
I move to appoint Veranch Pandari for the Finance Committee Associate position for a year.
I second.
Sarah motions, Jonathan seconds. Can all in favor? Hands down, all opposed. All, so John, is that a favor or opposed?
In favor, sorry.
Okay, so I'm gonna count that again. Okay, all abstain? Okay, with an 11-0 vote, Branch, you have been reappointed to the Finance Committee as an associate. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'll have a good one.
We will now be moving on to the third appointment, Russell Bowe. And then whenever you're ready, you can begin with your introduction statement.
Okay. Hello, my name is Russell Mo. I used to go by he, him pronouns. And I'm a first year majoring in business economics. I'm applying for the position of finance committee associate. And I'm looking to join the FICOM team in order to gain a better, more wholesome understanding of the work that goes into student government. And I believe my background in retail gives me an idea of the widespread desires of people with different aspirations and backgrounds. While working at a running store in high school, I was daily confronted with different kinds of customers. Some customers had recently had surgery or were in the midst of returning from a crippling injury. Others were looking to be competitive in marathons and 5Ks. And just to satisfy the needs of people with different running goals, I had to understand everyone's varying backgrounds and fitness objectives. And I believe the discernment I gained in serving and coming to understand people with different backgrounds can be put to good use in FICOM, where I'll have to weigh the wishes of on-campus organizations versus what they can realistically be allocated.
Thank you so much for your introduction statement. We'll now be moving on to questions from council members. Council members, please raise your hand if you have any questions. Sarah?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for coming to our council meeting. We really appreciate you taking time out of your day. My question is, I see that you don't have that much funding experience. So as like a first year incoming student, how do you plan on like bridging that gap when being serving on FICOM?
So just as a first year coming in, I think I'll just have to, go through the guidelines in more detail, just talk to the other people on the finance committee, kind of see how they allocate money, how they weigh decisions, and then, yeah, just really referencing the guidelines that I have to, and just making sure, asking a lot of questions, making sure that I'm doing things in the right way.
Oh, Jenny?
Hi, thank you for coming here today. I just wanted to ask, what do you hope to achieve in, your one-year term if you are appointed?
I think if I'm appointed, just being able to look at a couple applications, kind of see what's going on around campus, and just identifying the clubs that are really having an impact on the community, not just clubs asking for money just to have socials for just their members. Just looking at like say a club wants to do a free healthcare clinic and they're asking for like supplies for that for the community, then I think that I'd probably look on that a lot more kindly than a club that just wants to have like a social.
Are there any other questions from council members? Okay, if not, we can move on to your concluding statement whenever you're ready.
So again, just thank you for having me here tonight. And beyond what I've already shared so far, I would like to further expound upon my past leadership experiences. And a prominent example of my past experiences took place when I was in Boy Scouts. And during my time in Boy Scouts, I served in multiple leadership positions. And one prevalent position was when I served as an equipment and kitchen quartermaster. And I just took care of my patrol's tents and cooking equipment. In such a position, I made sure that my patrol's gear was well taken care of, and there was nothing that needed to be replaced. And while taking care of the kitchen equipment, I was occasionally in charge of planning meals for upcoming camping trips. So in this role, it was my job to buy enough food for my patrol before the camp out. And another example of my leadership duties in Boy Scouts was when I served as an assistant senior patrol leader and was in charge of making sure every patrol in my troop had access to working equipment. And in such a role, I organized troop-wide meetings dedicated to inspecting equipment and indexing the status of it. I believe my administrative experience from Boy Scouts has prepared me well for a position on the FICOM committee.
Thank you so much. We will now be hearing from ARC, which is me. ARC voted a 3-0 on Russell for the Finance Committee exclusive position. And Sarah will be reading our statement.
Russell expressed a strong passion for serving on FICOM. He is very perceptive about the financial needs of different student groups and is not afraid to ask questions when he doesn't know something. With a 3-0 vote, ARC supports this appointment.
Thank you. We will now be moving on to the deliberation period. Would any council members like to comment? Evan?
Yeah, thank you so much for coming out tonight, Russell. I definitely just want to emphasize the importance of FICOM within the USAC, kind of sphere. It's one of the most important appointments that we do make. I think that there's a couple of your answers that I wish you would have done maybe a little bit more research into and had some more preparation going into this. I know that you talked about looking through the bylaws, but I think that's like a we probably see, before you came out to this council meeting. For me, I'm a little bit hesitant about moving forward with this application just because it's important. But I would hope that if you do get appointed, just making sure that you're doing your research and doing your due diligence to make sure you know exactly what's happening. Also being able to make better recommendations for a lot of the questions that we have. But I do really appreciate you taking time to come out here and putting yourself out there.
Any other comments or concerns from council members? Sarah?
I also just wanted to add on to what Evan said. I think there are some stuff that you said in your answers that were just, from my experience with FICOM, were contradictory to what FICOM does. Specifically, just it's one of the purposes of FICOM is for clubs to apply for money for retreats and socials at for example, my office applied for money for retreats, so we wouldn't have to take it out of my office budget. But either way, I think I just want to stress the importance of making sure that if appointed, that you're discussing with other FICOM members because it is a really important funding body. And I think it's the most well-known funding body and the one that I believe allocates the most resources.
Any other comments or concerns from council members? CIU.
I just want to make a quick comment, just, to add on. So, we do have like a lot of like different funds, on campus, and there's Summit for Community Service, which is, what you mentioned, which resonated because I'm Community Service Commissioner, but, there are funds, to support like, student groups, to have socials, because this is important for, their club bonding, and only when their club is bonded are they able to like, achieve certain things, or because there are affinity groups on campus that are a safe space for certain cultural groups. So that's why some of these like socials are also like could be really important for those community groups. So that's just like something to put into perspective. But I do want to say that I think like as a first year, like coming in, sometimes like a lot of the things you learn is like through experience. So I would say, I mean, I would like still give him a chance, and just try to consider that a lot of the times, a lot of the things we learn is through, actually doing, like being on the ground, talking to people who have experience and really reviewing all these applications. So just something for council members to also keep in mind. Yeah, thank you.
Any other comments or questions or concerns? Okay, thank you so much, for coming to our council meeting. I know you got a very high recommendation from Lucy, and I would hope that during this year you would learn a lot about, the finance committee and the process, since FICOM is a very continuous role. People tend to, continue on like multiple years in their undergraduate experience. So I have a lot of hope that you will learn, like as a first year coming into UCLA. If there are no other comments or concerns, we will now be moving on to a vote. Can I get a motion?
I move to appoint Russell for the finance committee associate coach.
Sarah motions, Katie seconds, all in favor? Hands down, all opposed? All abstain? Okay, with a 9-2-0 vote, Russell, you have been appointed to the finance committee as an associate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We will now be moving on to the third FICOM appointment, Suhan. Whenever you're ready, you can begin with your introduction statement.
My name is Suhan Chan. I use he, him pronouns. I am a first year majoring in data science and business economics, and I am applying for the finance committee associate position. So in the past, throughout high school, I've had many experiences working in student government as senior class president and junior class president. I've also worked as the head of finance and strategy for two of the largest clubs in my high school. And then furthermore, I've also worked in business development roles in fine dining restaurants. Through all these experiences, I really understood the importance of financial health in garnering different experiences and being able to really push organizations towards their final goals. This has also given me lots of leadership experiences to understand how different people work and what different organizations need to do to create a very diverse but cohesive community.
Thank you so much for your introduction statement. We'll now be moving on to questions for council members. Council members, please raise your hand if you have any questions.
In many USAC funding bodies, we tend to get the same organizations applying for funding year after year. What strategies will you implement to ensure that FICOM is reaching out to new and diverse organizations?
Definitely. So I understand that diversity is a really important part of this role. So one thing that I would want to implement is doing office hours, which I know that FICOM already currently does. So I would want to continue that and be a big part of that. And then also perhaps flyering on Moonwalk or putting different posters around so the clubs understand that this is something that they can apply for, that funding is something that they can apply for to really increase our reach to different organizations on campus.
Thank you, Sarah.
Hi, thank you for coming to our council meeting. Building off that question, I think also an issue that we have is we have a lot more clubs applying for funding. We're asking for increasing amounts of money with typically the same pool each year. So how do you plan on addressing that?
Definitely, I understand that the funds, it's not infinite, obviously, so it's something that we need to control. So in that scenario, I think one of the best things that FICOM already does is that there's multiple associates creating different applications. So it's a very non-biased point of view, but that also ensures that funding amounts are not over in significant amounts. And then also guidelines allow us to ensure that funding is put in appropriate amounts to each club. So although there are many applying, and there's a lot of money that we want to put out. As a person who would, if I were to be appointed as an associate, I would want to ensure that I am also diligent in keeping the money well contained, but also well distributed at the same time.
Are there any other questions from council members? Anyone on Zoom? Okay, then we will now be moving on to your concluding statement. Whenever you're ready.
Yes, thank you again for this time. So I just want to again reemphasize my previous experiences in financial roles and also leadership roles throughout high school. So this is something that I'm very passionate about, and I'd be really excited if I would be able to take a part in this role so that I can continue increasing the DEI on campus and really provide organizations with funding and support so they can further their goals to make UCLA what it is today. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now be hearing from ARC. ARC voted 3-0-0 on Suhan for the Finance Committee Associate position. And I believe Jonathan will be reading our statement.
Yeah, I have the statement here. So with a vision for equity and diversity when providing resources to UCLA organizations on campus, Suhan has dedication and passion to form a part of the Finance Committee as an associate member. With previous experience throughout his secondary education and a drive to be accountable and supporting students from all backgrounds when it comes to applying for funding. With a vote of 3-0-0, ARC believes that Suhan will be an effective member of FICOM and ensure that resources are properly and equitably distributed to the wide-ranging variety of student organizations on campus.
Thank you. We will now be moving on to the deliberation period. Do any council members want to provide a comment?
Yeah, I had the pleasure of interviewing Suhan, and I really appreciated the insight that you brought in during your interview. You know, I definitely have heard many concerns of, between freshmen, but I ultimately think, like my colleague Jia Ying mentioned, that, you gain a lot of the knowledge through experience, and I think more than anything, you have the potential for it. So I encourage you all to vote yes for Suhan.
Would any other council members like to say any comments or concerns? Okay, thank you so much for coming. I've not personally come to your interview, but I know you seem very knowledgeable on FICOM already, and I really do appreciate you doing your research. So if there are no other comments or concerns, we'll now be moving on to a vote. Can I get a motion?
I motion to appoint Suhan Tan for a one-year appointment to the Finance Committee.
Jonathan motions, Sarah seconds, all in favor? Hands down, oh wait, yeah, all opposed? All abstain? With a 11-0-0 vote, Suhan has been appointed to the Finance Committee as an associate. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We will now be moving on to the last appointment. We have Iris. Whenever you're ready, you can begin your introduction statement.
Of course. So, good evening, Council. My name is Iris. I go by she, her pronouns. I'm a third-year economics major pursuing a double major in Link CS, and I am applying for the opportunities to serve for a second year on FICOM as an associate. So pretty much last year, my duties consisted of reviewing requests, hosting office hours, and allocating funds. My other relevant experiences are that I'm also the chair of the SFS fund, and I'm also the director of finance at CSC. So we got a lot of experience in regards to finance from those positions. So therefore, from an operations perspective, I have many experiences in ensuring that the fund itself, those who are applying to the fund and individuals within the organizations stay like track their budget and make sure what they're doing, and I'm also make sure they know what they're doing, and also very familiar with the workflow of the USAC finance processes, from applications to grading to requisitions. And one thing I'd like to highlight is that I am very committed to accessibility. I am very passionate about helping students receive the resources that our school has to offer. And in my previous experiences, I am also committed to checking all sorts of forms of communications and guiding students through whatever questions and finance issues they have during office hours, or just setting up a meeting with them. And overall, I really want to educate organizations and different projects on just like the funding available on campus. So I'm very committed to doing my best to help individuals, whether it's just general questions about what resource they are, or requisition troubles, or like questions about like why they got a certain grading decision. And I am committed to staying transparent and providing detailed responses to these sorts of inquiries. And to conclude, I really believe that a second year on FICOM will really allow me to achieve my passions and commitments, as I'm able to continue to host office hours to help people and to explain things.
Thank you so much for your introduction statement. We'll now be moving on to questions from council members. Would any council member like to start? Jia Ying?
Hi, Iris. Thank you for your introductory statement. So I think what you mentioned about improving accessibility really resonated, and I want to hear what are some specific initiatives or structures that you would like to put in place for the coming year to ensure that these like systems of accessibility continue on like in the long term.
Yes, of course. So basically, and I've also got like true experience from this, just like inspiration from this, from my experience in chairing SFS, is basically a dedication to providing, I think a big part of this is transparency, and then with transparency, to really provide detailed comments and detailed reasonings for certain allocations, and also to always like check forms of communications and attending office hours, and just walking students through like the resources available, like I mentioned previously, and overall to promote accessibility. I think a good place to start is to best understand the needs and objectives of everyone who is looking for funding and looking for resources, and to best view each individual with their own specific needs, and to understand what resources they need, and doing more deeper research than just like looking at their application, and therefore being able to understand like what resources we have to offer them is a good place to start.
Thank you so much. Sarah, would you like to go next?
Hi, thank you so much for coming to our council meeting. My question is, the same question of, given the increasing number of organizations applying with the same amount of funding and orgs asking for more money than in the past, how do you plan on addressing that issue?
Yes, of course. So kind of drawing from my previous response, so research and understanding needs is very important. So conducting external research to best understand the needs of each applicants, whether it's just like internet searching or speaking to an actual representative. And it is important to view each application as individuals, though they may apply, as you mentioned, with like the same needs and use like always like asking for like max amounts. We really want to understand what resources and opportunities they require and what they bring, and along with like learning about those they actually serve too. If we were talking about service orgs or just like those who are part of the organizations, understand like their own backgrounds and like the injustices and like the marginalized communities that they may serve. So overall, really understanding the needs they have, the needs of those they serve will allow us to make the best judgment about adjusting the allocations to address these barriers that they face, or to allow us to best judge how much do they really need when considering the amount of resources we have.
Evan?
Thank you so much for coming out tonight, Iris. I really appreciate your very thorough responses to all of these questions. My question for you is, how will you balance your role as FSS chair and a FICOM associate, and how will you make sure that you mitigate conflicts of interest?
Yes, so thank you for that question. It is very like actually believe like a new addition to the SFS guidelines is that all committee members and everyone must meet their obligations and their involvements with like whatever other bodies. They are very clear to everyone, and I will do that, and I'll continue to do that on FICOM, making and like just like communicating to everyone that I am also part of this organization. Or also, I think another thing we also implement in SFS, and I will continue to do in FICOM, is if there's I think this is like something that's very all funding bodies do or should do, is like if I'm affiliated with this and I'm with this organization and they apply to be this part of this, then I will not be the one making decisions about it, because that would be not objective. So just being transparent about my involvements in both parties is definitely something that I will continue to do. And then in terms of balancing my commitments, fortunately, both of these, when it comes to contingency grading and when it comes to SFS grading, they all kind of fall around the weekend. So the workload isn't bad, honestly. And I have very kind FICOM, other co-associates, very hardworking SFS committee to support me through this. And I think another FICOM involvement is just office hours, which I don't foresee any major conflicts and workload struggles in terms of that.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from council members? Anyone on Zoom? Okay, if not, then we can move on to your concluding statement, whenever you're ready.
Yes, of course. So I like to emphasize my dedication to accessibility and also transparency. And I think a good story is what actually sparked my interest in USAC finance was like a question of transparency, as I was like a major contributor in like a daily board investigation in my freshman year on like USAC fund transparency. And since like entering these positions, I've been very passionate about like full transparency, making sure that these resources are available to everyone, and very detailed documentation when grading contingency, for example, just proper reporting, because it's wonderful that USAC has these funds and resources available to everyone. And it's important to me that that since I'm in these positions, I can best help these people. And in FICOM and in SFS, I will make sure that my allocations reasonings are very are done with thorough research, and they're all well documented. And like during office hours, if anyone has questions, I'll be there to provide a detailed response and reasoning for why this decision was made, and To conclude, I am dedicated to continuously educating myself on the resources we have and the financial requests and the organizations that ask for these resources. And I want to carefully research their needs and to help them if they're having just general application or financial issues. And I am also constantly researching like the new and old funds and things available on campus. And since there are so many, and I am committed to really best directing people to the help that they need.
Thank you so much for your concluding statement. We will now be hearing from ARC. ARC voted a 3-0 on the Iris for the Finance Committee Associate position, and Jonathan will be reading our statement.
Yeah, so with previous experience within FICOM and a drive to emphasize accessibility and transparency for funding resources, Iris is more than qualified to be appointed as an associate. With an equity-focused perspective and a familiarity with the processes of USAC funding procedures, ARC, with a vote of 3-0, is confident that Iris will continue to support FICOM to the best of her ability.
Thank you so much. We will now begin with deliberations. I'd like to begin. Thank you so much for coming back from to FICOM this year. I had the pleasure of interviewing you, and you had amazing answers in both interviews, this one and our ARC one. So I encourage all council members to vote yes on this appointment. Would any other council members like to provide a comment or concern? Anyone on Zoom? Okay, perfect. If not, then we'll be moving on to a vote. Can I get a motion?
I second.
Sarah motions, Jonathan seconds. All in favor? Hands down, all opposed? All abstain? Okay, with an 11-0 vote, Iris, you have been appointed to the Finance Committee again. Congratulations.
Thank you, Catherine.
Yay, we're done with appointments. Okay, we will now be moving on to officer reports. Naomi has provided a written report, and I will go next. I will try not to make it too long. The Appointments Review Committee has conducted one interview since the last USAC meeting, but we have a few scheduled for SBAC and other appointments such as Academic Senate, I believe. So a reminder to council members to please forward any candidates to ARC and please keep the workflow organized. I would like to remind the Appointment Search Committee to please advertise the open appointment positions listed in bodies such as SBAC. They came today kind of asking us for a second time to advertise it. So please work on that if you can. My AIVP Josh sent appointment opening reminders to all council members with open appointments. So please respond to that. And please fill those appointments ASAP. Me, Naomi, and the EVP office met with the ASCC entities, so ASCC Media, Student Affairs, GSA, and the BOD to discuss a couple of updates, which they stated here today during special presentations. I attended the Narcan Implementation Task Force meeting and discussed Narcan accessibility capacity and current updates on which offices and departments at UCLA have been trained for Narcan training, and I'm planning to attend further meetings. Me and Josh met with SWC to discuss a potential initiative to work with end overdose to increase knowledge on administering Narcan. I recently met with Leslie, the UCSD Executive Vice President, who's also second in command at her campus, and we discussed some internal updates about our student governments with each other. We're hoping to have more collaboration throughout the school year. I will be reaching out to all the IVPs and executive Ps in the UC system. Oh, I actually did. I sent the email. So I'll be meeting with them soon to share our experiences being on student government. Me and Josh and I attended our Supporting Students Needs Committee meeting to discuss future preparations for the off-campus housing fair and improvements we can take from last year. It will be in Broome Plaza again. We held 2 weekly all-staff meetings on Monday. If you would like to attend the next all-staff meeting, they are every Monday at 6 p.m. at Geology 6704. So please contact me or Josh to RSVP. I have a lot of committee updates which are in the written report, so please look at those if you would like to see them. The IVP office co-hosted the ASCCLA Teacher Design Contest Showcase with ASCCLA on Monday. So that was fun. Josh attended a meeting today with the ASCCLA Services Committee to help choose the winning design for the Teacher Design Contest. So those results will be posted later on in the school year. I attended the Basic Needs Coalition meeting yesterday. And we'll be helping them get connected to other UCLA and USAC offices, such as the Academic Senate. I attended a meeting with Evan and Eva with Bruin Shelter to discuss safe parking initiatives and housing. So you'll probably get more updates from Evan later. We are currently looking for a Campus Safety Alliance Vice Chair. The application is located on our Instagram. So please reshare that on your Instagrams, please. The IVP office is currently working on a resolution to acknowledge November as Sikh Heritage Month. So I'm looking for council members to co-sponsor that with me. So please reach out if you are interested, or I will reach out to you guys. And then that is it for my officer report. Moving on, we have EVP.
Hi everyone, happy Tuesday. I will have a written report next week. To be fair, it's been a discombobulating week. So next time we'll have a written report. But I'll try to make it quick. For me, I met with President Drake since the last time we spoke. And there the EVPs talked about the Racial Justice Now campaign. So pretty exciting that Tyra has a resolution for that today. And we also talked about UCSA's Students Enacting Environmental Defense, or SEED campaign, that's really looking to uplift Indigenous communities around UCs and having Indigenous involvement and landscaping practices. We also talked about, just other stuff going on campuses. And to be frank, I was really upset with President Drake after this meeting. I felt as though he was really dismissing our concerns. And so I think, more than ever, it is really important that we advocate for stuff, but he did make a couple promises. I think he said that he would try to meet with the BSUs or ASUs at every UC. So that's something the EVPs really want to hold to. And he also promised that the UCOP would come out with a second statement on Israel-Palestine that is better, because that first statement was really bad. But obviously I'm not expecting anything great coming out of them, but I'm glad that they're at least kind of rectifying that first statement a little bit. For our local team, we have meetings set up with our CD5 and LA County Supervisor. And those meetings are kind of going to focus a lot on issues of houselessness and local issues throughout LA. So I'm really, really excited. We're meeting with the county supervisor November 30th and Katie Yaroslavsky in December. We'll be doing a holiday drive in December for houseless folks in Westwood, with winter supplies and gift cards for food. And that's something that we haven't done before. So I'm really excited about that. Chia Ying, I'll probably be reaching out to you about that. We are also for safe parking, as Megan touched on, we're reaching out to other community colleges across LA to look to provide cross campus safe parking sites. With our state team, obviously the state government is nothing's happening right now, but we do have a couple district meetings coming up with local assembly members. So I'm really excited for that. On the federal side of things, our event with Ted Lieu did get postponed because our new terrible Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, wanted Ted Lieu to be back in DC when we had already booked him. So just another reason to hate Mike Johnson. But we have booked Ted Lieu for December 8th at 1:30 p.m. And I mentioned this previously, but we will be giving out we'll be having the ability for student organizations and individuals to submit questions ahead of time, and your question could be asked to him. So when that form comes out, please fill that out on behalf of your office or yourself as an individual. You technically get 2 questions since you're an organization and an individual. So definitely take advantage of that and please pass that info along if it's out because we really want to like pack the house. He's literally our congressman, so pretty sick stuff. In addition, we have some like other events coming up briefly that I just want to touch on, and I can send all this out later. But so we're having a Know Your Rights event on November 17th from 5 to 7 p.m. in the Kirkhoff Grand Salon. This is pretty cool if you know you're into labor issues, if you're a student worker, or you really just want to know your rights as an employee. We'll be having like reps from various unions come and speak to us. So really exciting. Please come. Info will be out soon. So yeah, November 17th from 5 to 7, Kirkhoff Grand Salon. We also have tomorrow a public comment training at 5 p.m. in Kirkhoff 417. This is a great place to plan advocacy to the UC Regents. The UC Regents are, again, our policymakers across the UC. So they hold pretty high power and they are so disconnected from what actually goes on at our campuses. So it's really important that we structure those public comments well and make them count. This is also really important because UCLA is hosting the UC Regents meeting November 14th through 16th. So if you want to be in the Luskin Hotel for some reason that week, the Regents will be there instead. So please join me in EVP and like lobbying those meetings. A lot actually goes on. And it's really informative for like what happens across the UC. So I encourage folks to go out and do that. And last event I really quickly want to plug, we have a democracy workshop hosted by our civic engagement team with Bruins Vote. It is next Tuesday, the 14th. Yes, the 14th, where we'll be discussing things like, I think how to have uncomfortable like Thanksgiving dinner discussions like across political parties with your like weird uncle and that kind of stuff. Really cool stuff, and also just really breaking down like the really complicated civic engagement government system because AP Gov did not teach us everything we had to know. That is it for me. Hope people voted, and I will have a written report next time. Sorry about that.
Please, thank you. Gen Rev 1, would you like to say anything verbally? Everything's in my written report. Just hope everyone's having a good week and that everyone also had a safe Halloween as well. Thank you. Is Gabby here? Does she have a proxy in the Zoom? Okay, we can continue. Gen Rev 3, would you like to say anything verbally?
Yes. I promise not to take a long time, just because I know that we've got a lot ahead of us. But yeah, my office had our meeting yesterday. We have our weekly meetings on Mondays. Always lovely as always to see the work we're doing, and I'm very happy to say that GR3 has been ramping up our work, and we've been up to a couple things. So we discussed with SWC about using their little folder things near the third floor elevator to have masks and small hand sanitizers. So we're looking into getting those supplies very soon. One of my platforms, which is Bruin Resources, we're working on a collaboration with the Career Center. We finally got in touch with them, and we're probably going to host that at the end of the quarter. I'm very excited for it because we're going to be promoting the Hispanic Association of College and Universities internship programs. It's also known as HACU. I went to that conference, and they have a lot of good opportunities both for non-Hispanic students and Hispanic students alike. My director has been in touch with Books for Bruins, a personal favorite program of mine. Again, shout out to Jana for that. I hope to support however I can. Working with IVP on a potential collaboration with the Career Center as well. In terms of my main initiative, Bruin Worldwide / Bruin Buddies, we haven't had a lot of applications so far. I'm a little sad. As a reminder, that's a buddy program with exchange students. Please promote it. Please spread the word. We finally sent the link to IEO, so hopefully they promote that to the exchange students directly. In terms of that as well, I'm hoping to meet with some upper level admins at UCLA as well, because they recently published the vision for the next 5 years, and one of them was focused on more global ties between UCLA and the world. And so John is helping me out with that. Bruin Convenience, You all received an email from me earlier last week about a survey. Please share it within your staff internally. If you didn't, please let me know because maybe I wrote your email wrong or something. We've had 22 responses so far, so thank you to all of those who have shared. Our plan is to analyze that data after it closes, and we're going to present that data to council directly as we continue to determine next steps for following up with the Digital Brewing Card Initiative. We're working on a campus-wide survey as well, hence why the USAC survey is really important. So please, please, please send that to your staff so that we can compile that data and understand what we need to do as we reach out to the entire campus. Now, this is the more important one, the Latinx Success Center. I've been in contact with many Latinx orgs. I've shared this continuously both on my social media. Many have pledged support for the resolution that we're presenting later. It's been worked on in my office. I definitely want to shout out my policy director, Crystal Wu, who dedicated a lot of time to this resolution. HSI provided assistance with the data for this resolution, and I've met them on different occasions to discuss it. I will be meeting with them on Thursday to further discuss more ways of supporting their work. Again, as previously mentioned, as UCLA strives to reach that HSI designation in 2025. Ultimately, I ask you all to promote the resolution for all groups on campus. I want to make sure that any aspect of campus life can understand this resolution as it's really important. I want to shout out Janice for providing us with beanbags, hearts. Our internship has started. I'm very excited. It's a passionate group of people working on passion projects within our offices, and I hope to have many of them within my office directly next quarter. I also attended the Latina Town Hall yesterday at EVP hosted. Greatly appreciate EVP for providing that space for Latina students to come and engage, as well as the EVP staff who were present. And as always, my shout out to Mark. Sarah and Megan.
Thank you. Next is Academic Affairs Commissioner. Would you like to say anything verbally?
Yes, so I have my written reports, which I'm actually still finishing up, but I'll just highlight a few things out loud. I think first is definitely that midterm stress relief week took place last week. And it was definitely like a learning curve, but I think it was ultimately really successful. I definitely want to thank Janice for all of her help with hiring the goat yoga, because that was definitely like the most popular thing that happened that week. And it was really great to see everyone come by. It was also great to have that as our first event because it really increased engagement like on our socials and helped publicize the rest of the events of that week to people. And so we also like had bracelet making, which was popular, and a lot of people stopped by because of Instagram. And so overall it was really great. And definitely makes me feel like kind of more confident moving forward executing programming. Besides that, some kind of things that are not on the written report. One is Books for Bruins. And so just an update on Books for Bruins is that the personal order and everything for that is still being processed. However, just kind of working on private funding for the program, as well as planning for winter and spring quarter. Definitely prioritizing getting winter and spring applications for Books for Bruins open, and also finalizing a plan to secure more funding for Books for Bruins, because AAC front-loaded all of its money for Books for Bruins to fall quarter, and we actually weren't even able to meet all of the demand for scholarships. And then kind of in the same vein of finance, we're just constantly working on improving like financial transparency. And so we're planning on posting financial updates with what our budget's being spent on, and also highlighting recipients of our various funds. Other activities in the office, I think one that is particularly significant is the work that's being done in Upward Movement, which is the career readiness platform. The director of Upward Movement has been able to already meet with the assistant dean of the law school, as well as the assistant dean of the School of Dentistry. We also have a meeting scheduled with the dean of Anderson, and all have expressed like willingness to actually implement type of shadowing or mentoring program for undergraduates through their schools for the coming year. And we actually have a semi-finalized plan to implement a program with the law school in fall 2024. So it's been exciting to kind of see that becoming more tangible. The rest will be on written updates, but those are just some of the things I wanted to highlight this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Campus Events Commissioner.
Okay, hi everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'll try to keep it short.
CEC is finishing hiring. We had to do like runoff hiring for our media production team because we realized that they were a little more understaffed than we thought. So that'll be finishing up hopefully in the next weeks, and then interviews will conclude after Thanksgiving. And then after we finish that hiring, CEC will have almost exactly like 100 people in our staff, which is very exciting, very large, very in charge. Speaking events upcoming and in past, we had Atsuko Okatsuka last night, and she was really funny. We giggled, we laughed. It was really great. And we have another speaking event potentially coming at the end of the quarter, and it would be another collaboration with the intersectional environmentalists. So more things coming on that. In terms of concerts, we're planning our first like final DJ spin session, and that should be happening at the end of the quarter. And we also have Noon Tunes next week at Thursday on the Kirkhoff patio. And then for screenings, American Fiction next week, Monday at the Landmark, Eileen at James Bridges Theater Thursday, and potentially a holiday screening on December 5th. And then follow our Instagram, UCLA CEC. We're doing giveaways with Golden Voice, and we're giving away like concert tickets. I think the next one we're doing is Slater, so very exciting. And yeah, more things coming. We ordered our merch, and we have a couple like PR events that we're working on for the rest of the year. But yes, thank you all.
Thank you, Community Service Commissioner.
Hi, okay, I'll keep this quick as well. So most of it is in the written report. We're planning a holiday season volunteer drive at the end of the quarter, potentially with UCLA Recreation Leadership Council, in support of the International Rescue Committee. Our outreach team also put together a consolidated transportation and finance resource guide cheat sheets. So it's kind of like putting all the information in one place, listing down all the different line items that different funds cover. So yeah, we're gonna try to publish that on our website and also reach out to Seoul to see whether they wanna publish that on their website as well. We have started planning for a nonprofit networking night and houses the day of service / awareness week for next quarter. And we are also planning for the Reimagining Safety documentary in winter in collaboration with the Center for Community Engagement. So that is a documentary focusing on alternatives to policing and with a focus on like criminal justice, racial justice. So we are trying to look for different panelists, and I think I'll be reaching out to Tyra and different people sooner. Yeah, pretty soon. And everything else is pretty much secondary. Yeah, thank you.
Culture Affairs Commissioner.
Hi guys. So first, before I do my updates, I'd like to read a statement that we released a bit prior to the council meeting. So I'll read it right now. But please share it on your Instagrams because it is something that occurred on the floor that our offices are on. So on Tuesday, November 7th, 2023, today at around 3 p.m. PST, an approximately 35-year-old white woman stormed the third floor of Kirkhoff, pressed her face and her phone against the Kirk office door, and one of our staff members opened the door to see who it was. Once that occurred, the woman approached them and began yelling. She called our students terrorists, compared the Palestinian flag to a Nazi flag, and then yelled at our staff and said they were Nazis. Our staff, by the way, consists of Black and POC students who she accused of never having experienced depression. This woman came specifically to the Cultural Affairs Commission to make our students unsafe. She threatened to film our students' faces when repeatedly told not to. She then threatened our students with sexual violence and feminicide, saying to them that they would be next. Zionists who do not attend the school are being allowed entry into UCLA to freely harass students. It speaks volumes of the level of unsafety that our students are facing when CAC, the only organization in USAC to vocally support Palestine, is being threatened with assault for it, both online and physically. Various attacks like these have been happening on campus for weeks, and UCLA has not done a sufficient job to intervene or even condemn harm against students who support Palestine. Just today, students were selling kufiyas on campus on Throne Walk when older non-students started shoving them. Throughout the day, non-students harassed, threatened, and assaulted by POC students, and nothing was done on campus by security campus teams, including UCPD, who were presently on campus that day to protect those older non-students rallying. More than ever, it is clear that there is no safety for Palestinian students, students of color, Muslim students, and students supporting Palestine on campus. UCLA has still not released even a statement to acknowledge, let alone condemn, the hate crimes, harassment, and violence these students have faced for years. We call on UCLA, the UC, and other entities of this institution to protect students from the violence that is waged by both students and non-students on your own campuses. We call on the campus resources to be more accessible to students facing imminent and direct danger from Islamophobic, Zionist, and anti-Palestinian violence. It is unacceptable that agitators, especially non-students, are able to access student-led spaces like Kirkhoff to harass and threaten students. That is the end of the statement, but please feel free to look at our Instagram to see the picture of the lady who was harassing us, just to be safe. And if she is ever around again, please do not engage and leave the space. To go back to my update, the Dia de los Muertos event was very beautiful and profound. It grew more than last year, and people were able to add pictures of their loved ones even after we held the Word on Wednesday. So it was really nice to see. The jazz concert was also a success, and we're hosting one again tomorrow in the art gallery, along with like an incense, like folder making pottery kind of event tomorrow from 5 to 6 in the art gallery. We are also rescheduling the Native Expressions event with ASA for later this quarter just because of time constraints. So look forward to that later this quarter. We also have a Pink Panthers exclusive listening event for her on her new album on Thursday. There will be merch that is set for Mergy, so stay tuned for a graphic tomorrow with the details on the location, everything details for that event. Our next general body meeting next week will be a teach-in on Palestine, Congo, Sudan, Tigray, and more on intersectional solidarity along those issues. We are also beginning to work on CAC's 60th anniversary gala, which is very exciting. I've been meeting with Melissa Abraham. She was the World's Best Director in 1992 and 1993, and she's a sole advisor. She also was married to the commissioner of that same year, the late Willis Abraham, and we are working together to see how CAC can support her on a scholarship to honor his life and his work in culture, art, and action and mobilization within communities of color. I'm also supporting the Arts Restoring Community Fund. We're starting hiring next week, but for now, hearings will be taking place. Hearings are taking place this week and next week, and we're on a rolling basis with our directors. But the hiring will be posted next week. We are also collaborating with Megan Thee Stallion's team to do a Pilates event called Hot Pilates in early December to de-stress around finals. So that's exciting. We'll close about it soon. We just reached out about it. We're also working with some talent agencies, including like Warner Brothers, especially some CAC alum in the music industry to do a networking or Q&A event. I also want to just remind you all that the Kirkhoff Art Gallery is a space that is booked through CAC. So if you want to book the art gallery, just make sure to go to our website, or you can even reach out to ASCCLA and they can direct you to me. But the Kirkhoff Art Gallery cannot be used as a meeting space. It is a space to display politically, socially, and culturally relevant themed exhibits. So it is an art space. It is the only venue that students can book for art purposes on campus. So that's why there's like the sanctity of that space is really important. And so yeah, so just to remind you all. Also, just for general things to know. Eva mentioned the Regents meeting, but yeah, overall, it's gonna have, like, that's an imperative meeting to their movement. They're going to have a rally on Tuesday of next week, from 2:30 to 4 p.m. So join undocumented students and our allies, from across the UC, in California to march for a victory overall. Again, like, it's not called, like, I went to a teach-in today about it, and it's not called work for all. Like, people just want to apply to a job. Like, especially working class students, we need to have jobs to survive. So this is really imperative that I hope that you all are present for this very important point in the campaign. And last but not least, Students for Justice in Palestine and Divest are hosting a rally tomorrow at 12 p.m. So please join. It is an international day of action against U.S. aid to Israel and weapons companies from profiting from genocide in Palestine. So please come. It is also a major part of the divest meeting as well, so that we encourage the regions to divest from BlackRock and invest back into students. Another thing, UCSA resolution tonight for racial justice now, and I think that this connects, like, very interlinked, because reinvesting back into our community is what we're here to do. So yeah, hopefully I'll see some of you guys tomorrow, and those are my updates. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so sorry that happened to your office. I wasn't there, but I did speak to your staff person. I'd like to send my love to them.
Yeah, before we get started with my regular updates, I also do want to reiterate what Megan was saying. One of my assistant commissioners was in our office at the time and overheard just the absolutely vile, derogatory comments that were being made. No student on campus should ever feel unsafe, especially in Kirkhoff Hall, the place that is for students, owned by students. That is completely unacceptable. I think that we've seen continuously throughout events that are happening on campus that CPD has failed a lot of students, and they've failed specifically students who are supporting Palestine. I'd like, maybe as a council, if we could discuss some sort of alternatives, whether that's CSOs or other types of community-based, safety programs that we could be establishing, because it's not working. I would really like to have those conversations, and have those offlines to figure out what our next steps could be, because this is just so unacceptable. It can never happen again. And my heart breaks for everybody in the office who had to experience that. Going into some of my officer reports, I'll try and keep it brief like everybody else. I know we have a lot to get through. Just want to remind everybody that there's the third round of TGF application funding. It's due this Friday at midnight. Our TGF committee, as Fernando could probably tell you, has been very deliberative in a lot of things. So I highly recommend that if you guys are applying, you can come to my office hours. I host them on Mondays, Thursdays, for my vice chair on Desai. Also hosts office hours, and she has a little bit more flexibility. Alongside UCLA Government Community Relations, we hosted our first meeting for the SEC for All Ambassador Program. We had over 30 students in attendance, and the meeting was just a great success, and we were able to get a lot of valuable guidance from UCLA transportation and community members on the best way to advocate for UCLA students. I met with Roy to talk about a couple of things. First one was ASUCLA Encouraged Cultural Center, which I know that Elia just sent an email about. So excited to continue those conversations together. We also talked about the increased availability of masks on campus, and then also an ASUCLA endorsement of the heavy rail alternative for the Sepulveda Transit Corridor. Met with Administrative Vice Chancellor Michael Beck. Thank you, Janice, for tolerating my transit talk at that meeting. We talked about the Sepulveda Transit Corridor and about the new metro statistic that we'll release. We're going to continue to be in conversation with administration to ensure that UCLA is advocating for a transportation system that does work for students, faculty, and visitors. The Building Our Space Committee met with the Vice Chancellor Kelly Schmader to discuss the expansion of gender-neutral bathrooms, South Campus, specifically looking at the Engineering 4 building. The Access on Board Committee met with the Vice Chancellor Susan Seplow and members of the Office of Residential Life about next steps for the creation of the Lily Shaw Disability Cultural Center. Planning to open up a temporary location this January, and we're following up with Seplow at the end of this month. The Environmental Justice Now Committee met with Michael Schneider, who is the leader of the advocacy group Streets for All, to discuss next steps in advocacy for the Healthy Streets LA ballot initiative. We finalized a campaign budget for that. We created a new Instagram. We began outreach to different LA-based universities and community colleges, form a coalition called Students for Safer Streets. And those are all my updates. Got quite a few more in the written report if anybody's interested.
Financial supports, Commissioner Sarah.
One, I want to echo what Megan and Evan said. I think that's really important. And I think I wasn't in the office when my director was, but he also said the same concern. So I'm really sorry about that. And
I will, would love to work on additional safety measures for the building. Everything else is in my officer report, because one thing that I wanted to say is FSC got a banner for the New York Times, and it's on Broadwalk, so yay, that's it.
Student Wellness Commissioner, Jen. Would you like to say anything, verbal?
Yeah, I will keep it really short. Everything's on written updates, but the main thing is that SWC released a resource guide for students regarding the Israel-Palestine crisis, with some tips on how to regulate one's nervous system, campus resources, and steps for political engagement, calling for a ceasefire. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Transfer Student Representative Tyra.
My bad, y'all. I missed my flight back to LA, so I'm still at home, but I hope y'all are all doing well and your midterms are going okay. I'm really tired, and this resolution took over my life for a bit, so I'm gonna keep it short. This week my office is giving out tickets to the football game on Saturday to transfer students. I don't know if Lori is there, but shout out Lori, staffer of the week. So that's been really interesting, especially because we got so many. Did not expect to get that many, but it's all good. So if y'all know any transfer students who would like to go on the game on Saturday, please send them that flyer and tell them to fill out the form as soon as possible. We're going to be distributing them on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week. In addition to that, we'll be working with the Asian Pacific Coalition, as well as Sujana, to reschedule the Sanrio day that we were supposed to have for de-stress. There's a lot that was going on, but I'm happy that we were struggling because now we can expand it and spend more time putting our all into that program. I personally love Sanrio, so this is like, I don't know, I just wanted it to be really nice and, you know, have the girlies come out. In addition to that, we're starting to plan a winter fest for the end of the quarter, so that should be really cute. We've also been meeting with the transfer center because they are going to have another transfer pride week in the winter. And I cannot tell you all the preliminary theme, but we're going to have our own specific day within that week. So I'm super excited for that. I know there's like over 20 campus partners who will be collaborating within that week. So it's really exciting. I did go to the UConn meeting with President Drake that Eva was mentioning. I was not there on behalf of TSR, but RJN, which still relates to TSR because of the Black transfer experience. But echoing what Eva said, that was a very interesting meeting, but I am not surprised. You know, we have to navigate with all the staffers and administration and faculty and staff here at UCLA. So of course, the person at the top of the chain kind of has that same mentality. Planning to give public comment at this upcoming UC Regents meeting. So thank you to the EVP office for having this public comment training. So I probably will be going to that. My brain is fried, so I feel like that's all I'm gonna say right now. But again, please send that like ticket flyer to any transfers that y'all know, so that we can make sure as many students are getting tickets as possible.
Thank you. Is there anyone from international student representatives up there? I think I'm seeing something right now. We can move on. I'll ask him to send a written report. Then we'll move on to our administrative representatives.
Good evening, everyone. Was it midterm fifth week? Fifth week. First off, I'd also like to say that I mentioned to Alicia and the CAC office. I'm sorry to have heard that. I wasn't aware of it until this meeting. So I know you work very closely with Sol and the two advisors, Melissa and Pam, but you can always come to myself and anyone else at this office to also any of these immediate assistances. So no student group should be going through that. As far as my updates go, I don't really have any updates other than my usual. If you re-registered and you didn't attend a workshop, there will be an email going out if it hasn't gone out already, asking you to make this up with an online pre-recorded workshop. The workshop's only 20 minutes long with a 6-question essay. And as Naomi mentioned last time, take it, fail it, we still get to re-register. So it's pretty simple, shouldn't be a problem, but if there are some issues with that, just come talk to me about that. And yeah, that's all I have.
Jessica, hello, can you all hear me? Not really any updates today, but I did want to just offer, to Alicia, to your team, so sorry that happened in your office space today. And I was able to talk to 2 members of our ASUCLA security team who responded and dealt with the incident to just make sure that we, are actively being prepared to help support you all, especially if any of you feel unsafe in Kirkhoff or your office spaces. And also just want to offer that, our team is here. We're all in Ackerman. If anybody's ever, not feeling safe walking to your office or being in the hall, or if there's something going on, you can always reach out to us too. And we will be doing, just making an effort to be more present in Kirkhoff, this week, just to kind of check in, make sure everything's okay. But certainly, if you need additional support, let us know. We're here. And aside from that, just want to also share that we have a Wellness Wednesday tomorrow, which is yoga, de-stress with yoga in Kirkhoff Grand Salon. So please take advantage of that if you need a stress-free break and get some movement in. That will be hosted as part of our programming that Mary requests. Thank you. Lori?
So unfortunately, Lori couldn't be here today, but I do have updates from her. 2 of them. Important information. Recreation space opens up for winter quarter reservations on 11/28. I know a lot of student groups have been asking about the different spaces, so that's good for me to know too. She sent a cryptic second part that says, and if you're at the game Saturday, stop by Tunnel 11, the big happy face. And so I don't know exactly what that means. So you may just have to stop by Tunnel 11 if you go to the Rose Bowl this Saturday. Well, I don't know if it's creepy, but it's, it's kind of this masked state idea, ominous, right? Maybe the first 100 gets, free.
Free high five.
There you go, free high five from Lori. I was going to say swag, but I guess high fives. What's in vogue. All right, that's all I have for Lori.
Jonathan.
Hey, hi, hello. What's up? It's Tuesday. I don't have much for you. My first one is the same one that's been for, I think, all quarter now. It's week 6. If you are Katie, Gabby, or Adam, you have an outstanding email to Mr. Jack Estes. Please, I'd love to get these done. It'd be so nice to click this off of my little Asana list, because it's been there for 6 weeks now. So if there's an issue in completing that, please let me know. If you are a funding body chair or you have a funding body, please be sure to send your budget transfer sheets to Josh post allocations. If you have questions about that, you can ask Fernanda, because I cannot answer them. I know that, like Megan mentioned, that you're trying. Really do just want to highlight and emphasize the the urgent need, particularly for an e-board chair, and for a budget review director, particularly as BOD allocations just came out. That's really the post that is where a lot of the budget review director work comes from. So I'm sure that your council members that are on that committee would be very grateful for that. And it is week 6. I will remind you again, we are on the downhill slide, and once Thanksgiving hits, this quarter is over. I mean that. It goes by so fast. And if you don't have an e-board that is like ready and preparing, like by the end of this quarter, they're going to be in some trouble. Especially, I know you all had a lot of changes that you wanted to make to E-code. If you want the time to be able to do that, that needs to be done with. Last but not least, just a friendly reminder that if you get an email from our staff that you have packages to pick up, your like prompt attention to that is greatly appreciated. My office turns into a literal stack of boxes that could topple at any singular moment. And it makes for a crowded workspace. So yeah, enjoy your week. You know where to find me. Bye.
Thank you.
Also, I just got an email from Lori. It looks like there will be some free giveaways, and she will be at Tunnel 11 for high fives as well. So yeah, free giveaways, Tunnel 11. That's it.
Thank you, Lori. Okay, there is no, oh, yes.
Oh, I just wanted to say, like, I heard that some of you guys, like, your staff work in your own offices while this happens, so like, if this happens again, like, they don't have to come outside, like, but could people record at least, or like, yeah, if they're able to, like, safely, without getting doxxed, or, cause we couldn't film, cause she was threatening to dox, so, yeah.
No, definitely. Okay, there is no old business, so we will not be moving into new business. The majority of it is resolutions, since they have been on the agenda, there's not really a need to read it unless I get a special request from the person who put it on the agenda. First is the resolution requesting the AAC Slate Board of Directors, requesting the ACC Board of Directors to cut all contracts with Starbucks Coffee Company. Eva, would you like to give a little quick recap on the resolution and what it entitles?
Yeah, hi everyone. Nice to see you all again. I think this resolution is really important, so I'm really happy that we can have a discussion about it today. To lead that discussion, I'm going to pass it off to my external head of staff, David. He's on Zoom. Megan, can you please promote it?
Yes.
Hi, David.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Am I good to start?
Yes.
All right, cool. Well, good evening, council. I just want to start off with grounding ourselves with context of where this campaign has started and where we're at. So first of all, some contact information. Starbucks Workers United is a union affiliated with Service Employees International Union, or SEIU. And it won its first union store in Buffalo, New York back in late 2020. And as of now, there are now over 360 unionized Starbucks locations all over the country, with over 9,000 employees represented by Starbucks Workers United. However, now approximately about 2 years since the union won its first location, there's still no contract and there's no guarantee for better working conditions and pay for workers. And as college students, the onus really does fall on us to top the scale, or to tip the scale of power against corporations like Starbucks. AUCCLA holds contracts with Starbucks Coffee Company to license its products at Anderson Coffee, at Scrub J Cafe, and through AUCCLA's catering services. And many of these workers are students just like us. In fact, I used to work at Starbucks and I used to be an organizer with the union myself. And I know many of us can relate with the experience of being a barista, of working in retail or working in the fast food industry, and understand the hardships that come with it. College and university students are a key customer demographic supporting their multi-billion-dollar business, and we have the opportunity to follow in the steps of other students like ourselves. For example, at Cornell University, their student government called on their administration to cut contracts with Starbucks. And I know USAC has previously taken public stances in support of workers, such as the support letter with Unite Here Local 11, and I really commend y'all for doing that. At Cornell University, students were able to get their administration to publish a statement saying that they will seek other vendors once their contract ends with Starbucks. And so this resolution is part of a national campaign where college students across the country are showing their solidarity with Starbucks Workers United and calling on universities to cut their ties with Starbucks based on the coffee giant's refusal to come to the table with union workers in good faith. In May of this year, the UC Student Association, or UCSA, unanimously passed a resolution calling on the University of California to stop doing business with Starbucks until the company agrees to negotiate in good faith. And our goal really is to do the same here at UCLA by requesting the AUC-CLA Board of Directors to review its existing contracts with Starbucks and consider terminating those contracts, or at the minimum, to publish a statement saying that it won't renew them. So yeah, that's all for me right now. I'll throw it back to y'all if you have any questions.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions from council members?
Not a question, but I motion to approve the resolution requesting the AOC-CLA Board of Directors to cut all contracts with Starbucks Coffee Company.
Eva motions, Alicia seconds. All in favor? Hands down. All opposed? All abstain? And with an 11-0 vote, this resolution has been passed. Congratulations, and thank you so much for all your advocacy work. Yay! Okay, moving on. Next is resolution to increase UCLA's collegiate recovery services. Again, Eva, would you like to give like a quick recap on the resolution?
Yeah, this resolution is in joint efforts with a UC-wide initiative to pass analogous resolutions at every UC campus. With that being said, one of UCLA's organizing directors for the UC Student Association, Jenna, is on Zoom and she will be presenting this. Can you please promote her?
Yes. And then whenever you're ready to speak, go ahead.
Hi, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I am presenting a resolution on behalf of UCLA to increase the accessibility to UCLA's Collegiate Recovery Program. The UCLA Collegiate Recovery Program is in work with the Bruin Resource Center to support students who are in or interested in recovery from substance use disorders and addictive behaviors through campus advocacy, education, academic assistance, financial assistance, or sober social events. Currently, the UCLA Collegiate Recovery Program does not have a full-time staff, which hinders further access and support that students who are trying to pursue recovery or are in recovery would need additional support for. The Collegiate Recovery Program became a student recognized organization in 2014 and then became an institutionalized program in the Bruin Resource Center in 2016. However, it is vital that in order to provide more support and resources for students enduring substance use, that we provide greater support, including one paid full-time professional who is dedicated to overseeing the Collegiate Recovery Program in order to maximize the support that students are receiving. And this would be funded by an institutional operating budget, which would be ongoing and covers various staffing costs and other costs related to that. And it's important overall that we are promoting a harm reduction perspective and approach to the Collegiate Recovery Program to fully support our students in whatever capacity that is in their journey to recovery. Yeah, I would like to open it up to any questions.
Thank you so much. Do any council members have any questions?
Yeah, let's do.
It's on. Thank you so much, Jenna, for coming out tonight. I really appreciate this resolution. Definitely in favor of it. Less of a question, more just a comment for all of us to consider moving forward. I know that over the summer, I don't know if you guys remember, but Naomi had brought up there was a Daily Bruin article that talked about punitive policies that CAE, encourages against students when they're applying and when they are suffering from relapse and recovery. I would just want to make sure that, as we move forward, I understand this is a choir campaign, so it might not be in the specifics of this, but maybe trying to establish some sort of relationship between EVP and FAC, because that's never happened before. But if we could establish some sort of relationship moving forward to make sure that we're also centering students with disabilities in this resolution and language of this. Again, Jenna, I totally appreciate everything that you had. I just want to make that quick note before it escaped me. I'm also happy to send the link to the Daily Bruin article to Megan and put that in the chat too, if that's helpful, a resource.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from council members? Yes, and okay, I will send that article into the Slack or group chat. Are there any other questions or comments from council members?
Can I please motion to approve the resolution in support of the use of increased funding to expand UCLA's collegiate recovery services?
I second.
Yeah. Eva motion to seconds, all in favor? Hands down, any opposed? All abstain? Okay, with an 11-0 vote, the resolution passes. Congratulations and thank you for all your advocacy work.
No more. Thank you, Jenna.
And then I will go ahead and send that into the Slack. All right, next on the agenda is the resolution calling for the creation of a Latinx Success Center at UCLA. And then Jonathan, would you like to give a quick recap on the resolution?
Well, yeah, hi y'all. So I'm very excited. This is my first resolution as a sponsor, but also I'm first thank you to all my co-sponsors, Tyra, Eva, Megan, Evan, Janice, Chiayi, Sujana, and Alicia. I appreciate every single one of you for your support and supporting organizations, La Gente, News Magazine, Latinx Pre-Law Association, Grupo Folclórico de UCLA, and La Unión Centroamericana Estudiantil de UCLA. So this resolution calls more than anything for the establishment of a Latinx Success Center at UCLA. UCLA in a majority Latinx city, in a majority Latinx county, in a majority Latinx state, does not have a Latinx Success Resource Center, any sort of center. UCLA is the only institution in the UC that does not have any adequate support for Latinx students. This is, quite frankly, disgraceful. This is shameful. The school wants to become an HSI and reap the benefits of being an HSI, but does not want to do the work of bringing the Latinx community together and giving us an adequate center, giving us, as a proud Guatemalan American man, I am extremely disappointed that UCLA has refused to adequately fund a center after leaders on campus throughout my entire time at UCLA have been advocating for a Latinx center, had been basically just asking for this. Latinx students are 23% of the student population at UCLA. How there's no justification for saying that 23% of students cannot have a resource center. And in the discussions that I've had with various organizations on campus, in particular the Hispanic Serving Institution, I have been told that administrators do not want to put the money out, that they don't see that this is necessary. A Latinx support center for 23% of the student population isn't necessary. It's not necessary. That's absolutely shameful. as Hispanics are growing in a population, and as this institution wants to become a Hispanic serving institution, we need to do better. And this resolution, albeit not every single detail and not comprehensive in all senses, definitely just outlines a lot of what's needed. And I am currently working on sharing this with more orgs. So more than anything, I'm just here to present it this week because I want to ensure that the entire Latinx community here at UCLA is aware of this resolution and is aware of what's going on. I also, in this resolution, something that I want to highlight is that we are standing in solidarity with UC Berkeley. Because likewise, UC Berkeley, the two top institutions that UC loves to show, the two top institutions are their landmark institutions are lacking in support for Latinx students. For context, Berkeley has recently lost their Latinx Resource Center equivalent, and they've only been designated a temporary center, which is very shameful, which is disgraceful. As someone who grew up near the Berkeley area, there are a lot of Latinx students there, and they deserve their equal representation. So in this resolution, we are also standing alongside UC Berkeley and giving and understanding that struggle that they're going as well. There is one thing I also just want to highlight, and I'm quoting the Chicano Central American Studies Department with this. Student activism has always been an important component to the growth of Chicano study. In spring of 1993, students and faculty undertook civil disobedience and a 14-day hunger strike to underscore their demands for greater support of the program and the establishment of a Department of Chicano Studies. The result of the subsequent compromise at UCLA was the development of a new academic unit, a center for interdisciplinary instruction, and 6 new full-time faculty positions within this unit. It took a 14-day hunger strike to get a Chicana and Chicano Central American department. Now the Cesar E. Chavez Department of Chicano and Central American Studies. I am saying now that if an admin or whoever is listening to this, if a Latinx Success Center is not provided to Latinx students by the means of diplomacy and conversation, civil disobedience will happen. The Latinx community has done it once, and the Latinx community will do it again. Whatever needs to happen to get a Latinx resource center and a Latinx support center for our student population, it will happen. So I say this as, to vocalize the struggle, vocalize and ensure that the Latinx community on this campus has proven itself to be a force to be reckoned with. And I just want to make that extremely clear as we consider it as resolution, as we further look into it, and as we share it with our resources, share it with our community members, and ensure that admin is listening to this and is willing to put in the resources needed. I'm going to quote this resolution at the end, that the undergraduate, let it be finally resolved that the Undergraduate Students Association Council calls for Chancellor Jean Block, Executive Vice Chancellor and Provost Darnell Hunt, and Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs Monroe Gordon to ensure that the Hispanic Latinx community can be supported by allocating all necessary resources for the establishment, maintenance, and growth of a Latinx Success Center, including, but not limited to, space and an operational budget that will support development, staffing, and programming of the center. Making sure that this center truly happens and that like quoted by Javier, who spoke earlier, UCLA is putting their money where their mouth is. So do we have any questions about the resolution? Again, I don't have the intent on voting on it now, but I, more than anything, want to bring this to the attention of the community, bring this to the attention of council members, and I'm asking all of you, share it, make it known. And I would really appreciate any connections and any resources that you can do to ensure that this project happens.
Thank you. Are there any questions about the resolution? Alicia?
Yeah. Hi. I just wanted to comment, not question. Thank you, Jonathan, for writing this, and for being at the forefront of this. It's a very important issue, and like, I just want to share a personal anecdote. I went to SDSU to visit my friend like a while ago, and they have such a beautiful center, and it made me like wish I had applied. Like it just felt so welcoming. And it made me just even more angry at the fact that UCLA like does not care about providing spaces on campus for students of color. Like the Black Bruin Resource Center like still has leaks in their ceiling, and students don't really have autonomy over like the full-time staff that gets to work there. And like it's just like I am worried that like admin just, even if they do create a space that is a Latinx resource center, that they're gonna take student power away, which is just a common trend. So yeah, just let me know if you need any support, Jonathan, from like CAC's end on keeping track of this. It's a very important issue, and it definitely just it can't fly that we're an HSI and don't have a space for Latinx students to exist and to have the services needed for them to be retained and graduate. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Alicia, especially both of us being the two Latinx students on council. Although our population, we are less than 22% of the population, in this council. And I also just want to bring attention to that. And like you mentioned, and thank you for all that you do, Alicia. I also have a similar anecdote of I went to Yale to visit a friend recently, and they have a Latinx center for students. Connecticut is not a majority Latinx state at all, and Yale isn't even close to being an HSI, and yet it provides a center for their Latinx student population. UCLA, who prides themselves on being the #1 public university, being at the creme of the crop, the prestigious institution of California, doesn't provide this for their students.
Thank you, Evan.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly kind of comment on some things that Alicia brought up too, because I definitely think that we see that a lot in the development of the Willie Shaw Disability Cultural Center. But how do we make sure that students are owning and operating these buildings and making sure that these are long-term investments that not like work they can just take away? So I think that I really just want to reemphasize the importance of the ASUCLA referendum that could potentially be coming up, the creation of a permanent multicultural center on campus that would be student-owned, student-operated, much like our buildings currently in Ackerman and Kirkhoff. I think that for me, that sounds like the next best steps forward. I'm really excited to partner together and, working on these two needs because there just isn't space in the center of campus. I know for Latinx Resource Center, from what I understand from conversations that I've had with Susan Zamplo, is that it's going to be on the Hill, which is good. It's not perfect. It should be in the center of campus. And not to mention that if we have a multicultural center, we'll be, recognizing the intersectional identities of all of these groups because it doesn't just belong to one. So I'm really excited to be partnering with this moving forward and really excited to continue the conversations. And yeah, it should be happening within the next weeks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Evan, and thank you for bringing that up. We're not even asking for a permanent, we are asking for a permanent space at some point, but right now, from my conversations with HSI, again, it would be a space on the Hill, a very limited space on the Hill. We're asking for scraps at this point. We're asking at least provide that in the meantime. And of course, I'm more than happy to work with you in the future as we continue the conversation. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Eva.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. Just want to echo what everyone has been saying in support. I definitely support this resolution. And I think like you touched on your updates, EVP's Latina student town hall that we had yesterday, and I wasn't there, but I am interested in like if this could be like also a state funding thing. I'm wondering like if obviously I want this resolution to pass and I want UCLA itself to dedicate money towards this, but I think also like it would be interesting from like a state funding perspective. It's like we're operating at like a huge state budget deficit, so it's really hard to get like budget asks approved through state means right now. But like I do think this could be something that maybe we could work on together, or like I don't know if it was talked about at the town hall, but I think like could be a point of emphasis for Latina identifying students at the lobby day that UCSA is having in March. And I think like that way too, like with the power of UC wide like also in solidarity with Berkeley and the other HSIs, like the RUCs, I think like it would be cool to push for. So I just wanted to like throw that out there. And thank you again for the resolution. It's a slay.
Can I comment on that? Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
No, thank you so much, Eva. You absolutely bring up a point. I think that would be something that obviously different organizations working on this would have to look into. That being said, what you brought up about the Latine Council, and I'd love if you could bring this up as well. You and Tyra, I believe Tyra, who's also in the UCSA. A lot of students brought up in that in that town hall that even with a Latine or Latinx support or resource center, students have felt marginalized, have felt underheard, like on a UC-wide scale. So it's, yes, we don't have a center, but even the students that have a center, they don't feel heard. These centers are operating, I think, similarly at deficits, are, in poor conditions. So I implore you both who have that voice to get on, pardon my French, get on their ass and make sure that they are putting their money where their mouth is. Because again, Latina students, who are the majority in this state, should be getting that adequate support from any UC center.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, I completely agree. Thank you so much for working so hard on this initiative. I think I just wanted to know, like, how has the response been from like admin? I think you mentioned a little bit about how has the response been and what is like the main challenge, so that we know where is the part that needs the most support and from the rest of the offices. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So per my conversations with HSI has been a huge ally, a huge advocate in terms of in the work, and I've had these conversations with them. Funding has been, at least for that temporary center I discussed with you all earlier, has been the main issue. There was a search for a space here, and a space on the hill was selected to serve as the temporary Latine resource Latinx support center. And the main concerns were the funding for, staffing it, funding for programming, funding for ensuring that it's not just a space, but ensuring that it's providing adequate resources and providing the support systems that Latinx students on this campus need. So that has by far, at least per the conversations I've had, been the most pressing issue at hand.
Thank you, Tyra.
Yes, thank you so much, Jonathan, for presenting this resolution. I really appreciate you taking the time, and just being such a big proponent in this movement for the Latina community. And as somebody who frequents both the Black Bruin Resource Center and the Transfer Student Center, and seeing that there's not governing models for either center, both centers are underfunded, both centers need more institutional support. I would love to stand in solidarity with you in this movement for just general support for all of these centers. The Black Resource Center actually started as a small center on the Hill as well, and it was actually ran by members of the African Student Union for a while. And so it's pretty fucked up that they continue to do this to student leaders, and just general students who, make the university thrive. It's really, really sickening, honestly. So would love to collaborate with you on that end, especially in ensuring that that center has inclusivity for Afro-Latina and Latinx transfer students. In addition to that, I do want to comment directly to what Evan had said about a referenda for a multicultural center. Evan, I would implore you to start meeting with the mother organizations and ensuring that that center itself is student ran, and does have a governing body for students to sit on, especially when a lot of members of the mother organizations, we've been calling for our own centers. And if I'm gonna be honest with you, a multicultural center is not something that we would holistically support, especially if our voices are not being represented in that space. We're not being included in those conversations. So I would also implore you to reach out to me and the rest of the MO coalition so that we can be involved with such those centers that we would be frequenting, and not the majority of USAC council members, if that makes sense. So Hope that made sense, but thank you again, Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tyra. Thank you for bringing that up about the BBRC and the transfer centers as well. I also think it's equally, if not even more shameful, how late those centers were established on campus. Like I, as a senior here, do remember a time before there was the BBRC, which is very shameful, I will say. And I did also want to mention that mother orgs, yes, have those conversations, Evan, but please, for the Latinx community as well, our community is very fragmented and our mother org hasn't adequately represented our interests. So I ask you to equally reach out to orgs, and of course, if you need that support, likewise for me and Tyra, I'd love to support in bringing in those organizations. I'm actually having conversations with a variety of different Latinx leaders, so I'd love to put them in touch with you or have those conversations together. But yeah, thank you so much, Tyra. I appreciated your support throughout this entire time. We're not again, like my intent wasn't to bring it to vote now, but I wanted to kind of, marinate in everyone's heads for this week. If there's any additions you all feel that would be important to bring, please let me know. I'm obviously meeting with a lot of other Latinx leaders. I just really want to make this visible. I want to make it known, just because when we pass it, because I'm hoping we'll pass it, it'll strike. It'll have a big hit.
Sarah.
I'll make this really quick. I just heard funding and I was like, that's my thing, but would love to support. I think what you said was really powerful. If there's any way that I can help, please let me know.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it, Sarah, and I appreciate all of your solidarity, your conversations, your openness to hearing. And I'm sorry that I've rambled and I've gone on for a long while. This is a really passionate thing that myself and many Latina students throughout the time here at UCLA. I do want to actually bring up real quick. There was something that I didn't put here that I just want to verbalize, just because I think it's really important. Where is it? I really like where I had where is it? I put it in my resolution. I just really want to bring attention to this. Oh, whereas Hispanic Latinx individuals such as Reginaldo Francisco del Valle have been essential to the founding and establishment of what now is the University of California, Los Angeles, through their efforts to solidify the institution. So to anyone who's here, we've been here since the beginning and we'll always be here.
Thank you, Evan. Please make this a quick comment.
Yes, this is going to be so quick. I just want to respond to both things that Jonathan and Tyra had said. This has just been something that we've kind of been having the conversations behind the scenes with GSA and ASUCLA, just to see what the feasibility of all of this has been. Reaching out to other organizations, but also recognizing the different coalitions that are within the Latinx research, that are supporting this. That's something that's totally top of mind. I also definitely want to recognize my positionality when navigating these conversations. As a white man, I feel like it's probably not a place to be going through these spaces and telling people, what should and should not be coming out of this multicultural center. So these are all conversations that are absolutely on the horizon, and also by other people in my commission who do share those ideas and who have those better hands within those different organizations and cultural organizations. But I do really appreciate you guys bringing that up. That is my very quick comment.
Thank you. Please tell me that's the last comment. Okay, thank you. I also like to show my support. I'm really glad to be on this resolution, and I'm so proud of you for all the work you've done. I have so much more to say, but I should not say it right now. But since we will be moving this to the next meeting as a voting item, I believe, I'd like to motion. Oh, I don't think I can motion. Oh, I can motion. I would like to motion to table this resolution to the next meeting.
I second.
All in favor? Hands down. All opposed? All abstain. Okay, with a 12-0 vote, this resolution has been tabled. Moving on to the last resolution. I believe resolution in support of the UCSA RJS campaign. Sarah?
Yeah, I am sorry to extend the meeting longer, but given how anti-Black USAC has historically been and how important this campaign is for generations of Black students across the UC system, I would like to go through it in its entirety, if that's okay with y'all. She's pretty long, so my bad.
guess it's okay. Please be quick.
Can I what?
If you, do you want to read out the entire thing, or would you like to like do like a recap on each like section?
Oh, yeah, I can do a recap of each section. So, I hope y'all had a chance to read it. I see a lot of people are on it. So, this is a resolution in support of the RJN campaign, which again is for academic reparations and the establishment of a permanent $1 billion endowment fund to improve UC-wide African student access, not retention, and graduation rates. Thank you to Eva, Jonathan, and Chia for co-sponsoring the resolution. Do want to express concerns that there should have been other people in support, but that is okay. The sponsoring orgs came through. We do have a good bulk of the mother organizations represented on here. We have ASU along with all of its projects. We have some transfer orgs, some fraternities, as well as some non-Black student organizations on here as well. So thank you all to the supporting orgs. The ones in pink have not confirmed with their boards, but they are 90% sure that they will sign on. So that's why they're there. The beginning is talking about how European colonial and imperial governments, such as that in the United States, are responsible for committing the worst racialized massacres in human history, which of course is the systematic and perpetual genocide of African descendant peoples across the world. This has led to the genocide of African descendant communities, such as like African Americans, the Congolese, Rwandans, Haitians, Afro-Palestinians, as well as Trinidadians. And this has also contributed to racialized segregation practices such as Jim Crow, blanqueamiento, and South African apartheid, which impedes the well-being of all continental and diasporic African peoples, and of course, our educational experiences. It acknowledges that anti-Black racism is a racial pandemic and a public health crisis that has been maintained globally for more than 400 years. And it's also psychologically ingrained in the European descended community, the indigenous community, Asian and Pacific Islander populations, the Latina community, and even within Black communities because of institutionalized white supremacy. Whereas global education systems are rooted in Eurocentric hegemony and Afrophobia, and they contribute to low racial self-esteem amongst Black people by systematically erasing the history of major African contributions to mathematics, science, religion, medicine, architecture, literature, etc. For any of the girlies who aren't in the social sciences field, I'm pretty sure you have never learned about a Black person. Did y'all know that chemistry comes from Kemet, which is Egypt? Bet you didn't. Anyways, the UC system is highly capitalistic. It benefits from the educational, cultural, socio-political, and financial destruction of African descendant peoples on the continent and throughout the diaspora with no remorse or shame. The UC system has access to more financial and educational resources than both the California community colleges and the California State University, but has historically enrolled and retained the least amount of Black students. That is so unfortunate to say out loud. There are statistics here, if y'all are on the doc, that show between fall of 2005 and fall of 2022, the UC-wide Black enrollment rate barely increased, like 3% at any UC. I would say some didn't even increase that much. Some increased by 0.3%, and that is not okay at all. Whereas in the fall of 1999, the international student rate was 4.7%, but in the fall of 2022, it increased significantly to 15%. Between those same years, students from Ghana, Nigeria, Zambia, Somalia, Sudan, Rwanda, etc., have made up 0% of the overall UC international student demographic. Whereas in 2023, preliminary data shows that the UC system granted 3,000 more enrollment slots than in previous years, and not a single one was given to a Black student, freshman, or transfer admit. The UC system was founded in 1868. Yet the first Black Resource Center was founded at UC Riverside way later in 1979. UCLA is the last institution to found a Black Resource Center, and it was founded in 2021. And George Floyd had to die for that center to be founded. Echoing what Jonathan said, this is absolutely atrocious, and it's just embarrassing to say that I am a UCLA Black Bruin. Whereas during the civil rights movements of the 1960s and 70s, African descended students at the San Francisco State University advocated for culturally empowering courses that would cover the history and culture of both continental and diasporic Africans. UCLA, UC Berkeley, UC Davis, UC San Diego, UC Riverside, and UC Irvine are the only campuses that offer African American, Black diasporic, or Africana studies majors. Minors are only offered at Berkeley, Los Angeles, Santa Cruz, and Irvine. There is currently no African studies majors, but minors are offered at LA, Davis, San Diego, and Riverside. UC Merced is pretty down bad. They have no African American studies major or minor, as well as no African studies major or minor. Whereas the UC of California proudly proclaims that it is the world's leading public research university system. But according to the 2022 data, 91% of Black students throughout the UC system have never completed an honors program. 83% have not conducted research under faculty guidance, and 81% have not conducted research with faculty guidance. In 2021, domestic and international African and African Americans were a mere 3.6% of all UC-wide system tenured or tenure-eligible faculty. In 2018, the UC-wide Black freshman year retention rate was 88.9%, and the four-year graduation rate was a low 59.4%, compared to white freshman first year retention rate at 92% and a four-year graduation rate of 72.2%. That same year, the UC-wide Black transfer first year retention rate was 91%, and the second year graduation rate was 51%, compared to the white transfer retention rate at 93% and a graduation rate of 63%. Whereas Umoja is a statewide African-centered access program for Black community college students that provides things such as academic counseling, professional development, and a culturally responsive curriculum. I myself am a Umoja alumna. UC Irvine is the first and only UC campus to institutionalize Umoja to address the stressors of Black students in their transition from the community college to the four-year university. Whereas the UC Office of the President met with African student unions and Black student unions in 2016 to draft a strategic plan to improve these terrible statistics, yet UCOP never followed up, nor did they implement any concrete initiatives. And I actually asked President Drake and some of his staff about this meeting. They don't even know that this meeting happened, and they have no notes of it. But UCSA has notes, and it's really, really sad that they just don't care. So let it be resolved that the UC system has marginalized and oppressed African descended students and owes academic reparations to us for the educational atrocities that have been historically and systematically perpetuated against our communities. Let it be resolved that the UC Office of the President, administrative leadership at every UC campus, as well as all UC associated students, should show their unequivocal support for the RJN campaign to establish the endowment fund to improve access, retention, and graduation rates for Black students. Let it be resolved that those same elected officials or otherwise be meeting regularly and annually with African and Black student unions to ensure that Black students have their particular educational needs met. Let it further be resolved that the UC president, administrative leadership at each UC campus, as well as associated students, oops, sorry if y'all hear that, establish racially conscious, inclusive, and empowering initiatives to address the systematic harm that the UC has historically inflicted on Black students. Let it finally be resolved that the UCOP's establishment of the RJN Academic Reparations Campaign be used to properly invest in outreach to continental and diasporic Africans, invest in Umoja programs, invest in scholarships and grants for those of us who are low income, Invest in the hiring of Black faculty, staff, and administrators so that we can see ourselves at the institution. Invest in African American Studies department so that we can learn about ourselves and that we don't have to learn about European contributions to the world anymore. Invest in Black student-initiated and student-run initiatives. Invest in African-centered retention efforts in Black resource centers, as well as African-centered research and study abroad opportunities, among other supports. So I hope that y'all will take the chance to read through the rest of the resolution, especially when some of your offices directly benefit from Black students, our history, and our culture. I hope that each of y'all will take the resolve part. And as y'all are in these meetings with these non-Black faculty, staff, or even the Black ones as well, show your support for RJN and show your support for the Black community, not only just here at UCLA, but throughout the UC-wide system. As the associated students at UCLA, we have the ability to make change that no other student council could be able to do. And you have the RJN coordinator on the council. So I hope that each office, or at least whoever's in person on the Zoom or wherever you are, each of y'all should be doing something for RJN this year. And I should not have to remind y'all that y'all should support RJN. Y'all should feel compelled to support RJN just with the stats on this resolution. Just if y'all have Black students in your office, if y'all have Black people that y'all navigate this UCLA experience with, y'all should feel compelled to show support for us. So I'm willing to answer any questions, willing to clarify anything, or if there's anything else that y'all would like to bring up about the resolution.
Eva?
Yeah, I just want to echo that this is such a critical resolution, especially, I mean, because as Tyra said, like President Drake, like, oh my God, I can't say curse words on Zoom, but like, he very much disregarded what Tyra was saying and honestly talked back to her a lot about like these asks. And I think it's really important that as USAC, like we affirm this, just as a point of, origin for RJN on campus. I know that Tyra and I are discussing doing some like programming initiatives for this. So definitely be on the lookout for when Tyra, comes through with those announcements, because I think it would be really cool to get a lot of student support on the ground for this. And I think, I hope that everyone's had time to look at the asks that the resolution has, because these are all like really hard asks, and I think it needs all the support it can get for such a critical issue. So I just wanted to thank you, Tyra, for bringing this to us at USAC, and for continuing to further what it's asking for. So I'm excited to vote on this.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I just want to kind of echo what Eva said. I just want to say thank you, Tyra. Thank you for bringing this to our attention and bringing this to council, because it's really important, really, really important issues, in particular highlighting the Eurocentrism that our education goes through, highlighting the inequalities, and honestly, frankly, it's disgusting that there's such a low Black population of students. It is disheartening. For my entire, as a personal anecdote, I grew up in a majority minority community with majority Latina people and majority Black people. Coming to UCLA was one of the most disheartening things in my life, seeing just how little Black people there are, how little the issues are discussed, how little the communities are brought up and highlighted. And I think it's really shameful on UCLA, on the UC system, on California as a whole, frankly. So I just want to thank you, Tyra, for bringing this, and I hope to support you in however I can with my resources and with my, with what I have.
Alicia?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Tyra. This resolution is really, really detailed and thorough, and is really, really perfect and imperative to RJN's like mobility, especially like this being an issue across all 10 campuses. Like, thank you for spearheading this, even with all the work you have to do along in your other roles. I just want to say, like, whatever you need to like support this campaign, let me know and how to get more involved besides, voting pass it. But yeah, thank you so much for writing this. This is extremely important, especially in the UCLA community, seeing as Earn didn't pass a couple years ago and Cub didn't pass, and yeah, just like the lack of support that Black students, Black transfer students, and other more marginalized like communities within that community. Like, thank you so much for writing this and for bringing this to our attention in USAC. Thank you. And you have my support fully.
Any other questions or comments from council members? I'll go. Thank you so much, Tyra, for writing this resolution. I know you have 1,000 things on your plate, but thank you for taking the time to write this. I know it took you like all weekend. But I just want to say I'm very in support of this resolution. The stats were absolutely horrifying, and I'd love to work with you and then hear more updates on the RJN campaign as they as you guys progress throughout the school year. With that said, can I get a motion?
Motion to vote, motion to vote on the resolution, a resolution to support UCSA Racial Justice Now campaign.
Second. Jonathan motions, Eva seconds, all in favor? Hands down. All abstain? All, so Jonah, is that in favor or abstain? Or opposed?
Sorry, that was in favor of.
Okay, thank you. All opposed? All abstain? Perfect. With a 12-0 vote, this resolution passes. Congratulations. So thank you so much, Tara, for reading it. Okay, we'll now be moving on to our last agenda item, which is, I don't even know if we should discuss this right now because it's about a discussion on a time adjustment for our next USAC meeting. So essentially, Naomi has to leave at around like 7:45, 8 p.m. Next week. So we were wondering if you would all be okay with moving the USAC meeting to 6 p.m. But if not, that should be okay as well. But can anyone like not make it at 6 p.m.?
I can't because I have prior commitments with Grupo Folklórico, and we have a show in like 2 weeks, and they've been very, very accommodating with USAC. Like they've always let me leave at 7, so I prefer not to, but if the circumstances require it.
Eva?
UVP is hosting a democracy workshop with like 50 UCLA student ambassadors. And I was planning on going to that, but I can skip it for USAC. That's like chill. Like I'll shed a tear, but I will do it. That being said, the Constitutional Review Committee, we were going to meet at 6:30. So I'm just going to update the Google Calendar invite for 5:30. Gabby's not on. Well, cool. Yeah, we can do that. That being said, also, if you have any bylaw changes, send that our way because we kind of want to do a dump at next USAC. So, photo dump, I don't know. Yeah.
Thank you. Can anyone else just like not make it? Anyone on Zoom? Okay, I do recognize that not all the council members are here right now, so this may be just like a question for our Slack. So I'll talk to Naomi about that. But does anyone have anything else? Jonathan?
This is something that you would vote on. So it would need to be voted to become an action item, and then you'd need to vote on it.
Oh,
We should.
Yeah.
We have like 11
Majority.
Like, I think we should just vote.
you want to, okay. Can I get a motion to make this an action item?
Motion to make the time adjustment for the November 14th to the 2023 USAC meeting an action item.
I second.
Eva, motions, Evan seconds, all in favor? Hands down, all opposed. Hands down, all abstain. Okay, with a 10-1-0 vote, this motion passes. It is now an action item. Would anyone like to motion to vote on the time adjustment to change the meeting time next week to 6 p.m.?
I move
motion to change our meeting time for the November 14th meeting to start at 6 p.m.
Can I get a second? Evan motion, Eva seconds, all in favor? One. Wait, it's a 2/3 vote, right? Okay, wait, let me do that again, sorry guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hands down, all opposed. Hands down, all abstain. With a 10-1-0 vote, the motion passes, and the November 14th USAC meeting will begin at 6 p.m. And that's it. Congrats to John. She only has 3 academic senate appointments left. Ooh,
Yay, even though they are technically like supposed to be filled by October.
It's okay, we don't have to state that.
Oh, my bad.
Pipe down. You did
My
good,
bad.
you did
I'm on
good.
time. I'm on time.
Okay, with that said, meeting is adjourned at 10:15 p.m. Safe going home, daylight saving.